Renars podcast.
And we're recording. Oh my God, we're recording. This is so cool. Oh, have you heard this tune?
No.
This tune is sick. Come on, shake your hand. Hey, and I have Eldredd Wolf in the house. What's up, man?
Hello, how you doing?
Good. I like how you just like, oh shit, how to get my hand up. Dude, thanks for coming over.
No, thanks for inviting me, man.
Thanks for coming over in this beautiful, amazing studio I have here.
Dude, the production quality is just phenomenal. I'm ever impressed.
Yeah, he's taking a piss. This podcast is in the shed, just so you know.
Sponsored by B&Q. Yeah,
Oh, we need like everything you need for your garden.
yeah, for real.
Here. Dude, thank you so much for coming over again. And okay, me and you, we go way back, about 8-9 years ago.
Oh, dude, longer than that, I think.
Is it longer?
Yeah, because like I think I'd just gotten out of drama school, so that was 2010. So I think it's more like 13, maybe even 14 years.
I moved to UK 2011. So starting
Not that long.
Yeah,
Clearly.
yeah. So 2011, and I started going to gymnastics straight away, but I had no idea that if I want to get into stunts.
Right.
Yeah. So, yeah, me and Eldredd, we met in East London Gymnastics, just like a lot of other guests on my podcast. And we just kind of trained there. I didn't know what I want to do. I was doing pole acrobatics. Remember, I was messing around with that. So did you go to gymnastics around that time already thinking about doing the stunts? Or then was just kind of a...
Sort of. So I started doing a little bit of gymnastics just because I was doing free running. So
you did free running, and that's how you know with Josh Dyer, because Josh Dyer did that same thing.
Yeah. So me and Josh actually met back in 2004. So yeah, we've almost known each other 2 decades, which is mad. I don't feel old enough to have known anyone in 2 decades, but
it's a bit crazy. It's a bit crazy when you realize that some people in your life have been so long, but it doesn't feel that it's that long, but it is. Actually, it is.
Yeah.
And Josh Dyer, also just to people to know, it's our mate, also stunty. He is just a fantastic guy.
He's a real nice guy.
He's a real nice guy.
Yeah.
With you, maybe not with me. He does not like me. But
he doesn't not like you.
Yeah, but there's a reason. I know I'm not the easiest guy to live with. I still remember that thing, and I need to mention this. When I thought
I knew you'd bring it up.
I will, because Josh is hopefully going to listen to this, and like, Josh, I love you. I'm going to look in all this camera. Josh, this is for you. I remember this one time I found out that you guys going to go do snowboarding, and I said like, hey guys, I could join you, and Josh just looked at me. He's like, you? Never. Over my dead body, something like that.
I think he was a bit more diplomatic, but yeah, that was ultimately what was said.
And I was like, what? You're not ready for too much fun? Yeah. I think Josh, in some certain way, he thinks that the way I was in gymnastics, where I'm hyped and doing my thing, that's how I'm in life. I'm actually a very serious guy.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, no, we were all just worried that we'd wake up in a chalet with just your bollocks in our face. Like, and we'd just be like, oh.
Because you were like, oh, I'm excited. That's going to be pretty cool. Yeah, Josh didn't like that idea.
Sure, yeah.
Okay, so that's going to be a special shout out for Josh. He's going to love it. Listen, so... We are both stuntmen now. Now, I've been 8 years. How long you been now?
2018 I got on, so almost 5.
Almost 5 years. Yeah. Also quite close to a big pinnacle. For me, it's going to be 10 years. For you, it's going to be 5 years. It's almost 5 years. And before that, let's go see your drama school times.
Yeah.
So there was a time in your life when you thought you're going to be big actor.
Sort of. Yeah. No, it's a weird one, because when I was 18. I was free running a lot. I was doing all the South Bank jams. To the guys who will recall the old Shell Centre days. Shout out to you guys. I was doing a lot of that, and I met a friend, and he was like, "Oh yeah, I want to be a stuntman." I was like, "Wait, that's a real job?" Because like when I was a kid, I used to like jump off climbing frames and stuff. And my mum would always be like, "Oh, he's going to be a stuntman when he's older," and I thought it was just like something that parents said about unruly kids. I didn't realize it was like a real job, right? And then started training at Epping Forest Gymnastics, which is like right near Epping, but also kind of near Harlow. It's Essex, near my hometown of Chelmsford. And then we met Michael Birch and Mark Mottram, who were training there. And my mate, who was looking to become a stuntman, was like, those guys are actually stuntmen. And I was like, oh, right. And I sort of asked them, and they put me onto what was then JISC. And I sort of downloaded the list, and I was like, right, that's what I want to do. And then I, through the same friend, he was like, oh, I found this course at drama school. They do sword fighting and archery and horse riding and firearms and abseiling. And I was like, well, that sounds a lot like all the criteria for becoming a stuntman. Great, you know, like I'll do that. And I'd done drama and stuff at high school. And I'd also actually done like a TIE tour. So it's theatre and education. So you sort of drive around the area and you put on plays for school kids. I think ours was about the dangers of drugs, which was
put you in the front. If you do too much drugs, kids, this is what you turn into.
Yeah, pretty much, right? No, I mean, it was hilarious because we were getting absolutely wasted every night. I mean, drink.
Yeah.
I'll put that.
I don't think. Do you say wasted about drugs? About drugs, you say high.
Yeah, I suppose.
You just say high.
Yeah. I suppose. Yeah, you could call someone a waster if they're doing that all the time. But yeah,
okay.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. But yeah, so I'd done that, and then I was like, okay, yeah, no, I think maybe this is for me. And I went to East 15 acting school.
East 15,
which was in Loughton in Essex, which is on the Central Line. And yeah, did my first year there, and then our course got shifted to Southend-on-Sea, sort of deeper into Essex. And I did 3 years, and we did sort of 20 hours a week of sword fighting. But we also did acting classes. So we did voice, we did movement, all the sort of stuff that you do at drama school, as well as sort of a heavy influence from other performance aspects. So things like horse riding, sword fighting, archery, abseiling, that sort of thing. So yeah, did that, graduated, did the whole working actor thing. Did a few adverts and the small bit parts and stuff, and then sort of had a realization after about 5 years. I was like, wait, I went to drama school because I wanted to be a stuntman. Why am I still doing this? Yeah, right. But I think like I had lecturers and stuff who were like, oh, maybe acting's the way you should go. You know, like I mean, and I was like, yeah, no, and. It's that sort of optimism you have as sort of someone in your early 20s where you're like, yeah, I know most actors don't make it, but I'm going to make it, right? And you sort of go out with that optimism and potentially sort of ego-driven thing. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to do it. And then after 5 years, I was like, I didn't even want to do this. And yeah, then I sort of started training in earnest for the Stunt Register. Eventually got on.
Yeah, that is interesting. Because I know you for so long. I didn't know this. That's why I'm doing this podcast. Like to find out these little things. That's interesting that you went there. Oh, I actually want to be a stuntman, and then you end up being drama. That kind of shifted. Because like, was there a point when you almost thought like, okay, stuntman is not going to work out, or you just enjoying the acting so much that you were like, oh fuck stunts, I'm going to be an actor. Like, how did you shift it then?
Well, it was weird because I was still doing all the things that I did before. So I was still rock climbing, I was still doing gymnastics, I was still doing martial arts. And my whole thing with training to be a stuntman was like, well, I'm already doing all those things. So I just do them to a slightly higher level and then great, that's a job. So I was still, even when I was like pursuing acting, I was still doing martial arts and gymnastics and trampolining and rock climbing and what have you. But I just sort of wasn't pursuing the very specific skills toward the criteria for the stunt
to get
register.
the qualifications, to get that certain level of things. That is interesting. And then when you realized, okay, so 5 years starving actor life is not yours. At the same time, you were working on that place. What's the name?
The Medieval Banquet.
The Medieval Banquet. We went there once. I was so wasted. I loved it though.
Well, the unlimited booze does tend to do that to you. Yeah,
I loved it. Was it Josh's birthday? Whose birthday?
I think it was Josh's birthday.
Yeah. And it was so cool. And your performance was amazing.
Thank you very much.
I really, really loved it. How long did you do that?
I did that for 7 years.
So you did it even before you became starving actor?
During starving actor. So it was, I was out of drama school for 3 years, I think.
Okay.
Then I started that job. And after a couple of years, I was like, oh, epiphany moment. started training for the Stunt Register, and it was a perfect job for that because it was not quite an equity contract, but it was very close. So I think we were on like $430 a week.
Yeah, but also it was very steady job. You always knew that it's going to be there.
Steady job. Only worked 4 hours a day. And especially with East London Gymnastics Gym, they had loads of daytime training. So I was able to do all my training during the day and then work for a few hours at night.
We are so the same because I was stripping for 2 years and doing the same thing. I would strip by night and train by day.
Yeah, right? It's the perfect way to do it. But also, it was keeping my hand in skills, because as well as, I was having to sing in like 4 languages and stuff and do like carry props for circus guys, but I was also doing the sword fights toward the end.
Yeah.
So it was leaning into the skills that I'd learned at drama school, and obviously ones that we still use. And it was something I enjoyed.
Yeah, that's awesome. That way, And then how long it took you from deciding that you want to qualify for BSR to actually qualify?
So it took me just under 5 years.
Wow.
That was from trampolining, which was the first one that I completed, to gymnastics, which was the last one I completed. And it was one of those where I could have done it in less time.
Yeah.
But, like I had a girlfriend and...
They mess up.
Well, life gets in the way, right? They want to go on holiday, they want to do stuff, so you have to work a bit more than you would to just survive and train. You had to work a bit more, which distracts from training a bit.
Yeah.
But, I got it. It was fine. Also, you were there. You remember my struggle with mushroom circles, man. Like, I ended up with tendonitis, all sorts of stuff. I think if it wasn't for mushroom circles, I literally could have taken 2 years off my training.
I'm going to show in the video here. Everyone can understand what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Can you explain to someone who's going to hear this, not watch?
Okay, so mushroom circles. So...
Because someone just thinks like, what? You take mushrooms and then just circle.
Yeah, you sit in a circle and you just trip balls, and that's just...
That's a mushroom circle. I love that. It's a better one.
Mate, if it was that, I'd have passed a lot.
I did that one in Bali a couple of times.
Yeah. Well, I'll have to come out to Bali sometime.
Fuck yeah.
But no, so if you've ever seen male gymnastics, you could see the pommel horse, and they sort of do this move where they swing their legs all the way around the pommel horse, only holding onto the handles. But to train up for that, you start with a piece of apparatus called like a mushroom trainer or a pommel trainer or something.
That's what it's called, the mushroom trainer.
Yeah, so they're affectionately known as mushroom
the coach
circles.
with the mushroom hat.
Yeah, it's Toad from Mario Brothers. That's what it is. He just turns up and he's like, "Hey, you got to do your circles."
Wait. Say it again.
Hey, y'all, you gotta do your circles.
Because this is for me more than voice.
Yeah, that's it.
For you is this one.
Hello.
Okay, we go back to that later.
Nice.
Mushroom circles.
Yeah, I mean, at one point I actually had to have like a cortisone shot in my shoulder.
Oh wow!
Because it was coming up for the deadline. Because you remember when we split from JISC? We split from Equity. JISC no longer existed, and they were like, "Right, we're going to change the rules."
Yeah.
And I was like, "I need to get on before that." And I want to say like 3 months before the old set of rules ended, I sprained my shoulder, and I was like, "Oh, dude." So I just went to a private clinic and I was like, "Numb it."
Yeah, because that means that if that would happen, if you wouldn't make it in time, you would need to redo.
Yeah, well, I mean,
pretty much all the disciplines you've done like almost 5 years.
Yeah,
that was.
I've had to have
imagine
redone a lot, and also, I mean, so there was that period of time where the new rules hadn't come out yet, and then the second they were, what happened? COVID.
Oh,
so
my
like
God.
the whole world shut down for like a year and a half. So I mean, the guys who've just gotten on to the register now, like they went through that. And I got so much respect for those guys because, like, even just keeping fit during COVID was a challenge, let alone keeping up your skills.
I felt the most sorry I felt about someone who was almost ready to get done and everything, and then rules changed, and then they had to redo stuff. And I even know someone who did redo stuff, And then later I was like, you know what, fuck this, I'm not I'm not doing it, just gave up on kind of the whole thing. Like for me, because for me it was so lucky, as you mentioned about, when someone says like, why do you feel lucky? I said, mainly because I didn't get any injuries. Some guys would get, you didn't do high diving.
I did do high diving.
You did high diving, yeah. So in high diving, a lot of guys get injuries like shoulders, like some of them would fracture ribs and stuff like that. So I didn't get any of that, and I was very, very lucky. And then gymnastics, I totally can relate to. I the only thing what I struggled was with the mushroom circles, and not the good ones. But it was a lot earlier. We were talking about this because I told you that swimming for me was a huge achievement.
Yeah.
I felt like, and just like you said, like you were so excited that you finally passed those mushroom circles. You were like, oh my god,
dude! Yeah, I called up Kyle Fremantle like before my wife. I called up Kyle and I was like, I got it. I was like, I'm gonna run home. It's like, Dredd, aren't you in Woking? And I was like, yeah, it's fine. It's only like 40 miles. He's like, no, get the train.
Oh my god. Yeah, and then the way I looked at it, when I passed swimming, and that pretty much meant that I qualified, because I think swimming was the last one, or was the high diving. I felt like that was the greatest achievement in my life, because when you compare, I did my bachelor degree, I did my master's degree, and then none of those, when I qualified or I passed them, I was like, oh yeah, I have a master's degree now.
Yeah.
But that one was like a significant kind of a turning point or significant achievement or pinnacle. Was that similar feeling for you?
Yeah. So like when I graduated drama school, the feeling was more like, okay, a part of my life has ended. A new part of my life is starting. So it was one of those like, this moment is like a change of pace, right? When I got into the Stunt Register, it was like, I think especially because to a certain extent, drama school feels like it's almost something that happens to you. Like I turn up, I'm taught things, I go through it. And yes, like obviously you do work when you're there, but it's like someone else has structured it for you. You just sort of turn up and do what you're told.
Yeah, you don't feel that special, I don't think so. Like when you graduate with 20, 30 other people in the same time, or even hundreds, depends what kind of university you are. Like when I was studying business, we were like 100 people graduate. I'm one of them. Yay, great. But then when you qualify, whatever, we were like accepted new members, like 10 new members or whatever, and you know that all of them worked their asses off.
Well, it was a bit different for me because I was the last intake before the rule change, so it wasn't 10.
How many was that?
I think there was like 54 people.
Oh, no!
Yeah, all in one intake.
Oh, no!
But I mean, that's fine, man. Like,
yeah, but they were like spread out. They should be already on a while ago, right?
Yeah.
So because in a year, how many intakes are per year? Like 3 or 4?
3 or 4, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, it was one of those where it acted like a catalyst moment for quite a few people, I think. And they're like, right, I'm getting on this time. And yeah, like I say, we had a lot of people. But then obviously, I suppose if you average it over 3 years, it was about the same amount because no one got on for like 2.5 years because of COVID and everything.
And another thing is someone, I think Yusuf Chandri, our stunt mate, he was comparing that. It was like, it's almost like doing a college degree.
Yeah.
In a way, yeah, it's like the only thing which is cool, like I was very lucky, I qualified less than in 2 years. Like that was very, very, again, as I didn't get injuries and all that stuff. But then someone would qualify in 4, almost 5 years. So it's like uni, but you can make it faster. It depends on how hard you work, or it depends how lucky you are. Also, like you have to be smart about finances and stuff. So I was very lucky. I saved up some money, but I remember there were some stunties who are like literally have no money, and they have to go train and they have to pay for everything.
And it's you've got the same sort of hustle that you do when you're sort of a struggling actor, right? Like you're doing promo work, you're doing the sort of work where you can fit things in around other things. So for instance, like even at the medieval banquet, like it was structured, but sometimes like one of the criteria for the Stunt Register is getting your 60 days, isn't it? Of like, so you have to be on set for 60 days as an extra or a performer. You just have to have 60 days. And the banquet were always like, well, no, we need you tonight. So I'm just like, oh. So I was constantly having to like use my holiday days to go and work, or sorry, boss, call in sick. But, it was for that bigger goal, And And it's a tough life, man. Like training is tough. But I think you were saying earlier, like, you know, there's something to that, right? It's like when you finally get on, you're like, we've all been through this. We know the struggle. So if you're here,
Respect.
kudos. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. The only thing where I do struggle a little bit with that respect is that there are certain disciplines which are easier but much more expensive.
For sure.
And that's where I have a little bit struggle. And those stunties who are listening to us right now, they know exactly what I'm talking about. And I know some guys who would start swimming and they're like, oh, fuck this. I can afford Raleigh driving, so I'm going to pay for that. And I'm like, did you do Raleigh?
I did not do Raleigh. No, I could not afford Raleigh.
Yeah, you did scuba, right?
I did scuba.
Yeah. Because like I remember it was interesting because I thought I have enough money left, but then all of a sudden the tax man came over and gave me a huge bill, and I was like, okay, I can't afford the scuba diving because scuba diving would cost like around $3,000, $4,000 if you
like that.
go abroad, whatever. And I was like, okay, I have no money for that, and that's why. And it's interesting. I felt shitty like about the situation of, oh fuck, I need to do swimming, but as I told you earlier, I feel now great because I did something what I thought I'd never be able to do, and you know that's amazing feeling.
I tell you, one of the disciplines that I've got a lot of respect for anyone who does it is high diving.
Yeah,
right. Because I think someone said to me once, they were like, in terms of working in stunts, high diving is one of the better ones because it's the psychological element. Because you might do a dive wrong, take a complete spank, and then be like, right, going again. And it's almost like that survival reflex in the back of your head going, you might die. You have to just be like, all right, shut up. I'm going to do it anyway.
It's hilarious that you just said that. I might die. I literally had that a couple of times.
Yeah.
So for those who are listening and don't know, or for those who don't know what we're talking about, is basically high diving would be 10 meters jumps from platform, and we need to do 11 different elements, I think.
It's changed now, but yeah.
Something around that. So you need to do like front flip, back flip, and head first, different jumps and different things. And there's one of the moves called reverse dive. When you stand on a ledge and then you throw your hips forward, but it's not like a gainer. It's not like a flip. It's actually you end up with a head first in water, and then people usually over rotate, under rotate, and smack the shit out of themselves. And it's when you kind of understand and figure out the system, it's not too crazy. But when you just kind of learning. And I remember I was literally, this is what I was saying to myself as I was getting on a 10 meters platform. I was like, I might die. I might die. And there was a turning point, or there was a situation where I thought I'm not going to do high diving anymore. From 5 meters, I did front flip, over rotated, landed on my chest, had a massive spank, and I got out. And I'm like, this is how it feels from 5 meters? How the fuck is it going to feel from 10 meters? And I said, you know what, fuck it. And then I got back to it only because someone said, like, you can actually put a fucking wetsuit on. You know, and then, you know, that spank is going to reduce. Put the wetsuit on, did the same spank, and then I realized, oh, it's not too bad. Okay, I can deal with this.
Do you know, I only found out about the wetsuit thing after I did it, right? So I was doing it in like Speedo jammers, right? So just like, or Kalenji ones, because, you know.
Respect to you, my man.
Mate, decathlon, cheap swimming stuff, like that's where it's at. But yeah, I only found out about that afterwards. And I was like, to be fair though, I only took a couple of spanks off the 10. And it was always that half twist dive because it was such a weird one to figure out in my head because it felt like a Barani but not. So like because I'd done countless Baranis in gymnastics and trampolining, that was like, oh, it feels like that thing. So
wait, half twist is the one where you go for a flip but you kind of look down and end up feet first, right?
No. So the half twist. So you do
mean
a front
3
dive.
quarters?
No, you do the front dive and then a half twist.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. Gotcha.
Yeah.
That one, I think everyone struggled with that one.
Yeah, it's a tough one.
Yeah, and that one I've passed. I literally went to Sheffield. That's where I did the test.
Same.
And I got everything except that. And I said to coach, I was like, I don't know, man. I'm going to go for it, but it's most likely going to fail. And then he said, you know what? Just go for front dive. I will shout and you twist as hard as you can. And I was like, okay. And this is one of the things what I realized about myself. For some reason, if I have this like a total trust and I can give total trust to someone who can just look at me and they can tell me when to talk or when to do, I can follow that.
Right.
It was very interesting because I thought that my survival instinct will take over and I will do the move, whatever. But I didn't. That was with 2 moves with a back dive when you just go totally just straight and dive in, because people again over rotate, under rotate. And I remember like my coach said, look at the wall, look as long as you can, and then I will tell you when to look down. And I was like, cool. And I just totally trusted my coach and just went it and perfectly got in.
Nice.
And
Actually,
in Sheffield was the same thing.
I preferred the reverse dive to the back dive. Because at least with the reverse dive, you can sort of look down, you can gauge the distance, and you're like,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. Back dive was totally blind.
Yeah, back dive, you're just like, you can't see the pool until you see the pool. You know?
Okay. Yeah, for those who want to find out what it is, I'm probably going to put a video for people to understand what we're talking about. But yeah, you can always look in YouTube, BSR high diving. And you know who has the best video on BSR high diving?
Who?
Ramon.
Really?
Yeah, Ramon from Spania. Like, he has also a very sick video, like put from very good angles, and his diving was insane.
Do you know who had an excellent half twist? Craig Canning.
Oh, right.
I watched, because I actually saw that video before I'd ever met him.
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh.
Yeah. Well,
It was just buttery smooth. It was like that perfect transition.
yeah, I mean, Craig is amazing mover.
Yeah.
Like, his
Yeah.
stuff is cool. I worked with him once, yeah, and he was like doing again and again certain tricks, which is like, in my book, is quite complex. So yeah, kudos to him. Okay, so this is the stunt life, and so how it's been 5 years? Happy?
Yeah.
Enjoying
I mean,
stunts?
COVID happened in the middle,
Yeah,
so you know, let's take a year out. So
Yeah.
let's say 4 years, shall we? It's been great, man. Yeah, I mean, I've worked with some super talented people on some great projects. I mean, you know yourself, some projects you probably won't watch afterwards, except for the bit that you're in. But you know, a lot of the stuff I've worked on, I've been really proud to have worked on. And the guys in the industry, I think the thing I like about stunts is that there is a minimum entry requirement. Like, I've worked on set with some actors and stuff, and you're just like, oh, well, I mean, more when I was coming up than actually like on a professional shoot. So like when you're doing student films and stuff for showreel material and stuff, you work with people and you're like, oh, you're not very good, are you? And it's like, oh, that's a shame. But like, I feel like with stunts, like everyone is decent. You know, like there's a base level, and everyone reaches that at the very least. And yeah, that's something I love. Is like work. And don't get me wrong, like some people are better at certain things than other things. Like some people are better fighters, some people are better gymnasts, some people are excellent horse guys. So like obviously people have their specialities, but they're all decent at pretty much everything.
Well, if they're not, then stunt coordinator has done a shitty job with selecting them for the job. Yeah. I've seen, the only time I see someone who is not very good is usually those who are not actually on BSR. Unfortunately, not. I won't say not always, but the ones I've seen bad, they're not. But they've been taken. Job is being given to them, and they're there. So. Yeah, for us, the rest of the performers, we need to make the best out of it, you know, like whatever we're given.
And that said, I mean, there are some very talented guys who aren't on the BSR.
Exactly.
And I mean, some of those we've trained with for years and stuff. So, yeah, but I get what you mean. Like the base level is always there generally with BSR guys, but the elite level isn't. You know, that could come from anywhere. Yeah.
And that's interesting one again. And I mentioned earlier about how, so for those who don't know, to qualify for BSR, you can choose out of how many disciplines. So it's not, we need to qualify, we need to have 6 disciplines, but that's out of like 7, 8, 9 disciplines. So
there's
it could
more
be
than that, isn't there?
Because
I think pretty much every category has 2 or 3 different options.
I don't even know, but I know for sure that there's horse riding, there's can be rally driving, or now it's called the precision driving. What else there's?
Well, you could do bikes as well in that category, couldn't you?
Is it?
Although I don't.
But
think
it's not like miscellaneous anymore. It used to be.
Yeah,
I think that changed. I don't know, but like if you're a really high level bike guy, I'm pretty sure that's going to be taken. As
you'll absolutely go miscellaneous, wouldn't you, on that one?
Yeah,
because there's no structured thing for bikes yet. I don't
Not
think.
sure, but it should be.
Yeah,
I think honestly, bikes is like insane thing that should have it. But it's funny what I noticed. Whatever I see on the set, bike guys, those are usually guys who do only bikes. That's their speciality. I think someone like Rick English is one of like exceptions, and then we have. Not gonna go with the names. Just Morrison. What's his first name?
Chris
Morrison.
Yeah.
Like he's sick on a bike.
Clayton.
But Clayton, his bikes is mainly racing, which still, I never seen him doing bikes, so I can't really tell.
Gotcha.
But shout out to Clayton. Like he was the guy who suggested me to get my Suzuki SV650S for doing race stuff. I've done it a couple times. It was awesome. You're a bike guy.
I do bikes.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say I'm a bike guy.
Yeah, but do you think about? Have you thought about getting into more in depth of it, or?
Yeah, it's one of those, isn't it? Like the potential consequences for getting training wrong are very high. Like, especially if you're like doing motocross or something. Like if you jump a bike and it goes wrong, that's a lot different to some of the other disciplines.
Yeah, your wife might disagree with it.
Yeah,
with you
and also
that.
it's way more expensive, man. Like motorsport is so pricey. I mean, I've replaced single parts on my bike that cost the same as 2 months training in a martial art. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, I mean, I was practicing wheelies with Josh, and I came off the back of the bike. I just gave it a bit too much, came off the back. I wasn't injured, but the bike did a blooming front flip.
Oh, shit.
Smashed up the instrument cluster.
Oh, shit.
And it's still off the road because, getting around to fixing it up has taken me a long time. So it's one of those where it's like, I went out and bought a bike. I started training on it, but then something broke. And I mean, I'm a bit of a cheapskate. I do a lot of my own mechanical work myself.
Which is cool. I think that's not just... I really have respect to that. I will not have patience to do that stuff.
I mean, it's great fun. It's just, I think I also struggle with a bit of ADHD. So I'm like, a shiny thing. Another shiny thing. So it's like, I've got a lot of unfinished projects in my garage, I'm in the middle of fixing up my old AJS 650 from 1960. I actually took it over to my dad's yesterday and did a bit of welding on it. But it's just,
I think with the bikes, as I mentioned earlier, like there has to be certain good system approach. And the system what I did, bought a small bike, Honda Grumbler and all that, and then transferred to big bike, and that worked for me perfectly. But investment-wise, money-wise, I think it cost me to get that Grom, cost me about $5,000.
Yeah.
And then to build up my Ninja Kawasaki was also cost me extra $2,000-3,000. Like that's a big investment, and I thought it was like but this is how I saw to get this done.
Yeah.
But the result was in 2-3 years I could do wheelies, stoppies, all them. It was consistency, and it was all right. But the biggest problem I think with bikes is like you need to get a van to transport that bike. Then even if you find a place where you train in UK, it's such a pain in the ass. Like I did find here in Bracknell or whatever, but even then, there's no one to practice with. You don't have this camaraderie. You don't have these people around you. And, that's why gymnastics, martial arts is so much easier because there's always people, similar minded, whatever. Bike guys are like these lonely wolves somewhere in a bush just doing their riding.
Yeah. It's, there's a couple of sort of community WhatsApps and stuff out there, but it's almost like Fight Club. It's like no one talks about it. You have to know a guy who knows a guy.
I was in one of those in a Grom. They had a Grom community in London. It was weird to hang out with all these teenagers just like, hey, yo, bro, your bike is sick, bro.
Dude, I mean, you can only watch so many videos of people wrapping their MT-07 around a lamppost. And it's just like, dude, I'm not getting involved in this. But no, I've got a WR250, which is like a Yamaha. It's an enduro bike, so you can take it off road. That's the one that I did a front flip after I fell off it. And I've just finished fixing it.
Oh, then it's ready for the next wheelie.
Absolutely. But yeah, it was like the reason it's taken so long is because I'm a cheapskate, right? So I could have spent, I think it's like 300 quid to buy a new instrument cluster from Yamaha. I was just like, what? £300? And then I found
it's preposterous.
Yeah. And then I found that you can get these like Trail Tech things that you can basically fit to any bike. And I was like, and it's got a tachometer and it's got a temperature sensor for the for the coolant. So I was just like, no, I'm going to spend a third as much money and I'm going to get something that's actually more functional
for your colon.
Yeah, exactly. You know, the fact that I've been off my bike for 10 months because of it is, you know, possibly less productive. But you know, I had the right thing going into it. At least.
That's funny. But like, so out of the stunt stuff, speciality wise, so would I guess right if I would say your speciality would be swords?
Yeah, I mean, and that comes from my time at East 15.
Yeah.
Did, like I say, 20 hours of sword fighting every single week. And that's not including stuff that I was doing in my own time. So I was doing sort of Aikido. I did some Iaido for a while. Yeah, so I sort of specialised in that as well as archery. But I sort of did that. We did get a foundation in it at East 15, but it's something that I've sort of pursued on my own since. But yeah.
Archery is fun, but it's like, it's not that much of a usage. I think out of all of those, probably the sword fighting is the best, but also sword fighting for you, it's specifically the, what's the name of the type when you just go all fancy and...
you almost had it, actually. Fencing.
Fencing.
Yeah.
All the fancy fencing.
Yeah.
Yeah, the fencing, because that is quite complex. Like, and I don't think I ever even tried to do it, because I know the sword fighting like Viking style, you know,
Right.
like a shield
Hack
and
and
the
slash
sword,
stuff.
like hack and slash,
Yeah, yeah.
right? So that, what you have knowledge and experience, that is quite rare and difficult to learn. So that's really cool.
Yeah, I mean, amongst stunt guys, I mean, there are some, you know, you've got like Rich Hall, Rich Leggett.
Yeah, Leggett, yeah.
And a few others who do fencing or have done fencing at the very least. I mean, those guys, you know, you work on any production that's got swords in it and you see them on it.
Yeah.
A couple of the jobs that I've done, like those guys have recommended me for stuff. So, you know, thank you very much to Rich Hall and Rich Leggett for that one. But yeah, it is a very technical style, and there's a lot of subtlety to it, which, to be honest, may not come across on screen sometimes, because it's like, it's, you know, is my wrist in this position or is it in this position? And it's like, honestly, you can't pick that up on camera. But I think it's one of those things where if someone knows what they're talking about, it shows.
Yeah.
Even if the technicalities don't, the confidence they have with it or whatever, that shows. And I think that's always a good reason to become an expert in your field.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I'm an expert in fencing, like, you know, there are guys out there who are, but I have done fencing. I've got my foil coaching qualification and stuff. But yeah, I think if you do anything to a decent level, it shows.
Yeah,
even if the stuff
100%.
you're doing is not to a high level,
but
even the basics.
I really
show.
like when you mentioned about the confidence, like the certain things what we do. Yeah, it doesn't even have to be a complex thing to do, but if you don't have that confidence, assurance, like what you do, and you can see that on screen, but you also can, that's the crew around you, people around you, how you make feel someone. Like for me, I guess my main specialty would be fighting. And so if I would, you know, go like someone does the kick, like this year I was lucky enough worked with Scott Atkins, and I had
sick.
acting part and the fighting part with him. And then when we did the fight, and he was like, "Oh, Renars, is so cool to work with you, like, because you know what you're doing." Like the amount of times he would fight some actors who like have no fucking clue what they're doing, and it's just the subtle like little things. Like I know exactly how I do this block. Like we know exactly how to cheat that it looks like we go full on. You know, so all these things, and that is, you know, that is a martial art background and the screen fighting background, understanding how you can put those things together.
That was one thing that my time at East 15 really helped with, because like I say, it's an acting course.
Yeah.
So, you know, you would go through the motions and then like, they'd be like, right, so now you need to make it look like you're having a fight. Because yeah, you can run through choreography. Like you could teach anyone choreography, but doing the choreography and looking like you're trying to hurt each other is a very different thing.
I love that you mentioned that. I have one of the Jess Loudon. He's ex-MMA veteran, and now he's an actor, and sometimes he tries to stay away from stunts, but he did more stunt stuff. So he was fighting Donnie Yen in one of the movies, And we were talking about this, how important, how difficult it is to sell the intention, you know, that I'm here not just to do the choreo, not just the duck, whatever, but I'm trying to kill you. You trying to kill me, and I'm trying to avoid and look like I'm afraid and stuff, you know. So those things are so cool. And now we have more and more stunties being required to show their acting skills.
Yeah, for sure.
That's really cool. Cool. This is the first half. We're going to have 2 more. Now we're going to have a little break. Here we are, back to the shed.
Welcome back.
Oh my God, such a sexy voice. Come on, do your sexiest voice.
No.
Come on, go on.
No.
Honey, I'm ready for you.
I think if I did that, then a lot of your listeners would just...
Stop listening?
I was going to say have very awkward walks to any other room, but, you know, fine.
Oh, because they would get aroused. Is that
I mean,
what you're saying?
I was trying to imply it rather than outwardly say it, but yeah.
Okay, let's just choose a sentence and like try to make it as sexy as possible. And it has to be a random sentence.
Okay, all right. Honey, I finished doing my tax return.
So fast?
Actually, I lasted a lot longer than average.
Yes, because usually it's 3 minutes. But it's better 3 minutes in heaven than 2 minutes in heaven. Oh, no.
I don't know. I feel like that worked.
There you go.
That was good.
That was the sound I was looking for.
No, I feel like the wah, wah, wah was an accurate sound effect for that joke.
Okay, so let's get serious. Let's get serious business here.
Yeah.
One of the main reasons why I wanted you here today is, let's make it clear, we tried this a couple of times, didn't work out because we're busy and all that stuff, which is totally understandable. I don't know how many years ago now, I remember Eldredd was, so I have this allotment and I'm like having chicken in my allotment. And I was like, what is wrong with this guy?
Do I sound super camp when I talk about my allotment? Is that what happens? All right.
Hey guys, I have allotment. No, but it was just like, it was so different that someone would be, you know, excited about this kind of stuff. And I was like, wow, this guy, this is interesting. And then first, it was just allotment. What was the story of the allotment? How did you get it?
Well, I mean, it goes further back than that, really. It was like when I was...
5 years old.
Oh, mate. I mean...
I got kicked by a horse.
Kinda. Well, and I did, actually, at 5 years old.
No, that explains.
There was a pregnant horse. I walked too close to it, and I got kicked. Yeah. Not in the head, thank you very much. But yeah, no, it's like my granddad was one of the founding members of the Essex Dahlia Society, so I would help him out gardening all the time. My dad was really into gardening. When I was 9, we moved to like this farm in northeast Scotland. And I think my mum had the idea of like living the good life, you know, like, oh, we'll raise chickens and we'll plant potatoes. And we planted potatoes. I just never remembered.
That was a while ago. Did people already then thought that the stuff what they get in the store is shit?
No, I think it almost comes down to that sort of slightly, I think it's almost like a slightly Marxist principle, isn't it? It's like where in our modern lives you just feel divorced from the product of your own labor. Right? So it's like, you know.
I like that. Divorce the product of your own labor.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's one of those things where it's like you work, but you don't see the direct correlation between the amount you work and what you get for it, right? So I think, I mean, like you had, there was a comedy on, I don't know if you've seen it, but it's called The Good Life, right? And it's about this couple who, I think they live in Surbiton, and the guy, he's like a draftsman for some firm, and he's just like, do you know what? I hate this. I hate going to work every day and not knowing why I'm doing it and all the rest of it. So him and his wife start, like, they keep goats and chickens and stuff just in their back garden in Surbiton. And it's a great comedy. If you've not seen it, I do highly recommend it. It's old now, and there are some slightly problematic jokes in it now. But I feel like any comedy from sort of the 70s is going to fall into that. But it is very good. So yeah, I think that was all it was like, my mum was just like, do you know what? I want to feel like I'm doing something for myself. And I think that's where it came from.
And it's so cool because like this kind of idea where I grew up in countryside. So we had our garden and everything. And I thought we are poor. that we can't just go and buy stuff in the store. Why do we need to slave here and grow these potatoes and all this? What the hell? As a kid, because obviously to me it was my friends were playing on the street, like having fun, and I had to have my ass up, face down in a garden and weed some potato stuff, which is, was horrible. Obviously, only like later I realized how amazing that is and how lucky I was to have our own food from our own garden.
It also, and this is the point I was making, was it teaches you the value of hard work, right? Because you're like, I dug over that garden, I weeded it, I watered it, I planted everything, and now I get something for that. Right?
Yeah.
So it's also a lesson in delayed gratification.
Yeah, I wish my parents would be telling those things, because all I heard was like, go get your shit done, go clean this, go clean the barn, go da 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 da. There was no why.
Sure.
It's like, for my dad would just say, this is for you to understand
But I
the
feel like
value of hard work.
It's almost that Mr. Miyagi moment, though, isn't it? It's just like,
Why are we doing
wax
this?
the car,
Yeah.
sand the floor. And then you're like, man, this is bullshit. I don't want to do this. And then it's like, and then he shows you
Why?
what it's,
Yeah.
and you're like, oh, and you have that realization moment. And I feel like that is actually worth something.
Yeah, it
like
is.
If they're just like, here's exactly why you're doing this, it won't mean as much in a weird way. Like you have to realize it by yourself.
True. This is. I love it when we're talking about this, because this is a really, really big thing. I was earlier on some other podcasts I was just with friends talking about how difficult it is nowadays for parents to explain to their kids that the way they have it, they're very good off. They're very lucky that they have a house, they have a food, they have all these things. And then if they try to tell them, listen, finish your food or whatever, and the child would be, why should I finish my food? Is, because they're kids somewhere in Africa or whatever.
That was always the standard line, wasn't it? Yeah.
Always standard line, because they don't have food. And then I was like, but they don't care. They need to see it. They need to experience it. And in my opinion, the best way to do it, to take those kids to those countries, to travel them. Like when I was, again, I mentioned this a couple of times before, when I went to Jakarta, and in Jakarta, which is the capital of Indonesia, they have these massive areas with slums, right? And I would go through these slums, and I remember I stopped on this one like bridge, and there was this canal with just floats with shit on top of it. Like all these kids are playing around, there's garbage everywhere, just disgusting. But these kids have the biggest smiles on their faces ever. And then if you take your child to these kind of places, like obviously not just to show them, but somehow to figure out, to integrate and show them, like you see like how much they appreciate what they got. Yeah. Then you have a different idea. And that's the similar thing about my dad. Instead of saying, you just don't ask questions, just do it, Instead, there should be some way to teach that lesson, why it's so important, and understand, So I love it that your parents were actually, had that kind of point of view, and they explained you why we're doing these things,
Yeah, I don't know how eloquent my parents were when they were sort of talking through this stuff, but I think having a pride in what you're doing and understanding the value of your own labor is an important lesson. And to be fair, I'm not sure how much they explained that to me and how much I figured it out later on. But it's a lesson that I'm very thankful for. Genuinely.
Nice. Shout out to your parents.
They did an all right job.
I actually met you. I think I remember your mom for sure, because it was your 30th birthday.
Yeah.
You invited me.
Yeah, man.
And then I remember, like, I said, you said, "Oh, this is Renars. This is the guy who was fat shaming me." And then your mom, instead of like losing her shit, she was like, "Oh, thank you, Renars. Finally, Eldredd got in shape."
Oh, don't. Well, she was the original. Because like the thing was, I think growing up, my dad was quite overweight, and it really affected him sort of mentally. So she was adamant that I was not going to get overweight. But the thing is, because she kept mentioning it, I got such a complex about it.
It's her fault, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, for sure, yeah. The worst person ever.
Where's my Snicker bar?
No, but yeah, no, I remember being like 8 years old and going to the cupboard for like a Slim Fast milkshake because I was like, oh, I think I'm really fat. And I look back at pictures of myself and I'm like emaciated.
Wow.
Like it's mad. It's that thing, man. Like, you know that poem of like your parents mess you up, they don't mean to, but they do. I don't know the full thing, but it's basically like no matter what your parents do, they will mess up in some way. And it was one of those where I think like she had the best of intentions, and it I don't know if it's that I took it the wrong way or it wasn't explained well or whatever, But yeah, that was something I really struggled with for a while, actually.
And then you met me, and in a couple of years you got in shape.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, you know, when someone's lovingly doing it, it's one thing. When someone's going, hey, come on, fat boy.
Obviously,
it's a very different
I was
thing.
the first option, right?
Yeah.
And I had so much fun with it. Eldredd would take his Snicker bar and he opens it up and he's about to just put it in his mouth. I'm like, Eldredd, no. Oi, fat boy. And then a couple of years later, he was like, thank you, Renars. Thank you. I would cry myself in bed every night for the last 2 years, but now I'm slim.
Yeah, that's it. Crying burns a lot of calories. That's what it is, yeah.
And I said, like, to someone who said, like, oh, Renars, but this is, like, really bad. It can influence someone's psyche and all that. I said, my ratio is pretty good. 1 out of 3 usually does a suicide. 2 gets, well, so it's good. Fat shaming apparently is not cool nowadays.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, starting from like what, 2 years ago, 3 years ago.
I feel like it's never been cool, but like now it's much less acceptable.
Now it's really like, can you imagine? I would be in the gyms like, Eldredd, I think I'm just worried about you. I think you're a little bit big boned, whatever the fuck that is.
Hey man, that's a real thing, all right. Some of us struggle with that.
Yeah, I have massive bone.
No. Come on, keep it clean.
Oh, the boners. Let's keep the boners out. Okay, cool. So allotment.
Yes, sorry,
that's what
we went off track.
Yeah, it's fine. That's what podcasts are for. And then how many years ago you got into this allotment, and you got it from somewhere, like, how did you get it?
So it's a local council thing. Yeah. So I actually jumped on the register for allotments because a lot of them have waiting lists that are like 8 years long or something. So I was living in Sydenham, which is in Lewisham Borough in London, and I put myself on the waiting list, and they're like, cool, it'll be about 5 years. I was like, and they're like, but some are available in Bexley Council now.
Oh.
So I was like, all right. So I looked at the map and I found the one that was like closest to where I lived, and I had like a little 125 motorbike. So I rode it down there. It was like 8 miles each way, so it took me like 45 minutes to ride there, and I was going almost every day.
Wow.
And I loved it. I absolutely loved it. This was 7 years ago now.
7 years ago.
It's been 7 years.
And the first thing what Eldredd gave me was today he gave me a fresh honey.
Yeah.
And I actually have it a little bit in my coffee right now. It's freaking awesome. And so when you started that, I remember like we still trained together, and then he once in a while he'd come over excited like, oh, I did this in my garden, I did this, and we're like, what's wrong with this guy? And then so you got the chicken, then you got bees. Was the bees after the chicken?
Yeah.
So there was after the chicken, and unfortunately, chicken got eaten by a
fox.
Yeah. That was very, very sad. And do you have them back now?
Yeah. Not the same ones, obviously, but I've got 10 hens at the moment.
You had the conversation with the fox.
Yeah, it was like, you give those back.
Yeah, I'll give you 5 eggs for each. And then eggs. It's beautiful to have. And do you have a rooster? You don't have a rooster there.
No.
So because obviously you don't have the fertile them, so that means
No, I never get chicks. My whole philosophy on it is,
you have a wife. You don't need chicks.
Yeah, exactly. No, I think basically so all my hens are rescue hens. So they've all worked on a farm. And basically what happens, I don't know if it's the same in the rest of the world, but in this country, generally they get to about 18 months old and they go through their first molt. So they drop all their feathers and they regrow them.
Oh, no.
But during that time, they don't lay eggs because, they're using the vitamins and minerals and stuff to build themselves back up. So a lot of farmers are like, well, why would I keep a hen that isn't laying eggs? So they get rid of them. And usually they end up as cat food or dog food or whatever. But there's a charity called Fresh Start for Hens. Shout out to those guys. Doing the Lord's work. They go around to all these farms where they're kept in not great conditions, and they collect them all up and they give them to people like me who sort of want some backyard hens. But for me, it was the poultry industry is not a great one the way it's currently run. Don't get me wrong, some farms are better than others. Great, but because roosters aren't productive, generally they're separated at birth, and what used to happen is they would just be chucked in a grinder. Like, they'd just be like, shred that one. Now I think they gas them, which is more humane, but still not a great option. So for me, I was like, right, well, I don't want to add to that cycle. So when I was first thinking about getting hens, I was like, right, I'll get some nice Polish hens, I'll get some silkies, and they look great, and they
get some silkies. So
Yeah.
you're saying that like I would know what the hell is silkies.
Oh, sorry. So yeah, silkies are like, those hens that look like they're from Fraggle Rock or something, like they look like Muppets. They've got like big tufty heads and all the rest of it. Yeah, so they're a specific breed.
I gotta put a photo of silkies.
Please do. They look great. But yeah, so I was like going to do that, and then I was like, well, no, because then all the male chicks, that's still happening, right? Like that happens if I feed into that industry. So I thought, right, well, then all I'll do is I will get rescue hens and I'll give them a nice retirement.
Oh,
Right, so they get to live in their run. They've got like it's made up of like Harris panels. I've built some like some elevated bits so that they can sort of climb. They can roost in like this nice high bit in the eaves of the roof that I built for it. I've put like swinging tires in there so they can play.
do you have a video on Instagram on this one?
I don't. There might be pictures.
I will ask you later. You can send to me so I can put them as well.
I've got because I've got another Instagram which is birds, bees, and peas, and that's the one from my allotment.
Oh, okay.
I separated them because I was like, well, yeah.
Some stunt coordinator is like, oh, I would like to hire the guy who
plays with chickens, apparently.
chickens and bees and all that stuff.
So I thought I'd separate them. And I had a couple of people go, oh, this is such wholesome content. Can you start its entire thing? So, yeah, all right, fine. I don't post on there that much, to be honest. On any Instagram channel, really. But yeah, so I built that whole area, and then I fenced off this other bit, which is like a bigger run for them. So when I'm there, because if they were in there all the time, the foxes would get them.
Yeah.
But when I'm there, they've got like a nice roaming area, and I leave the weeds to go so that they can eat them, and all the other weeds I chuck in. I chuck in the pen for them, so they scratch them up and they get all my scraps and stuff.
So how you decide that the amount is 10? You say now.
Well, I actually didn't want that many. I had 7, and I was like, that's my max. I won't do any more. And then very sadly, one of the guys at the allotment, Tim, who also had hens, he had to go into hospital for some kind of treatment, and he was like, Dredd, do you mind taking on my last 3 girls? And I was like, yeah, fine. So I introduced them to my flock, and they've been great ever since. That's Matilda, Honey, and Lavender.
Shout out to Matilda, Honey, and Lavender. You have to send me photos, man.
I absolutely
Since
will.
I'm doing the shout out.
I will take pictures of them and send them to you so that you can put them up with a special
my God,
mention.
that is so cute. So you have names for all 10 of them?
No.
Oh.
No, well, dude, it's hard to tell chickens apart, all right?
Exactly, that's what I just thought. But because, so did he gave them to you with the names already?
No.
Oh.
No, I named them that. So she was called Matilda because she's the only white hen in the flock.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, oh, she's adopted and she's a bit special. And me and my wife had just been to see the Matilda musical, and I was like, oh, she's a bit special and adopted by the end. Spoilers for a show that's been around for quite a long time. But yeah, and then the other 2, because you've got Miss Honey, who's the teacher that adopts her, and then Lavender's her best mate. So I was like, well, there's 3 of them. That's a nice...
And then the rest 7 hens don't have names.
Some of them do, actually. Yeah, so...
I just want this is like someone who has a big family, and then they just like too lazy to give names to their kids. Or like, you broken condom, you...
I thought you were just going to number them, like child 1, child 2,
Unwanted,
Henry,
the smoke slut lady.
No, do you know what? So some of them have earned their names.
Oh,
right?
shit.
So it's if they do something that's notable, I'm like, I recognize you because of what you've done. So like one of them I actually rescued from a fox. So I sort of heard this squawking and I ran over, and the fox had her in his teeth.
No.
So I ran over, like kicked the fox, it ran off. And then it was like she'd had a stroke. Like one side of her body didn't work.
Oh, no.
She was really she wasn't eating, all the rest of it. So I took her home. She lived in my spare bedroom for like 2 weeks.
The fox or the chicken?
The chicken. very much the chicken.
I like the turnaround. All of a sudden you have a fox in your house.
Oh, God. Yeah. No.
Were you not afraid that the fox bit you? Because they can carry the rabies and shit.
Yeah, I mean...
Oh, that was like a stuntman kick, like really like with pads and like...
Yeah. No, that's it. I sort of geared up first. No.
Wait, Matilda, I'm coming.
I think it's one of those where like I didn't think.
Yeah,
I just ran.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, and it wasn't like a boot. It was just get out my land, you know.
How dare you?
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I gave it a bit of a kick, caught the chicken. So she has been named Henrietta Threadgood.
Oh, Threadgood.
Yeah, so it's it comes from the fact that when I reintroduced her to the rest of the flock, she actually bullied all the others. So it was one of those where I was like, oh, you know, she'll be a bit under the weather.
Troublemaker.
The other hens are going to pick on her. Nah, she like
Other way
ruled the
around.
roost. Yeah, that's it. It's like she'd just been let out of solitary confinement, and she had to like deck the biggest prisoner to like reassert her dominance in jail.
Yeah.
So yeah, Threadgood, because my family we love this film. It's called Fried Green Tomatoes at the Whistle Stop Cafe, and the main character's surname is Threadgood. And she's a bit feisty and stuff. So I was like, it's a fitting name.
So they
Henrietta,
have to-
because it's a pun.
Have to earn that. I like that. That's pretty cool. Have you heard of all this concept about the pecking order?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it comes
It's
from
real. It's real.
And it comes from the chicken
Yeah.
basically. That's why we also have this used for humans.
Yeah.
Like what is the pecking order and all that.
Yeah, they basically, you know, if you decide to go in for the food and one of them's like, no, you're not before me, they are vicious, man. Like my mum talks about them like they're velociraptors, and she's not far off. They will. One of the things is, so my hens, I think they had a pretty bad time at the farm where they were at because they bully each other a lot. Like almost all of them have got like bald patches near their tails from where they're all just like standing on top of each other and pecking their feathers out. And I think that's just because of how the situation they were in before. But yeah, they will go for each other. Like the amount of times I have to sort of like bang the side of their cage and be like, "Oi, you don't fight with your sister." You know, it's like you sort of have to do that. But yeah, I mean, once that's established, they're a lot calmer. You know,
That's interesting. Like also when you mentioned about the farms, I was passing by this one chicken farm a while ago. This is like 8 years ago. Me and my mate, we went for New Year's, someone in UK up north. I'd already forgot where was it. But I remember as we were passing by this chicken farm, the stench.
yeah,
It was insane. Someone who's like grew up in a farm, like we had our own chicken, and it was beautiful. Like we would have some chicken who would disappear, and then like couple weeks later, whatever, appears with all these chicks, and like it's just so cute and beautiful, and all this like life circle, and they laying eggs, and like wow, great. And then you go pass by, and I think I like did the little peek and whatever. It was so sad, so sad to see that shit.
the problem, like, I get why we have farms like we have now, because they're very productive, right? And because we've got a booming population, we need food, right? Like I get all of that, but it does feel it feels unnatural, right? Like it feels like what you're talking about, like having a few hens in a barn and they like, you know, they scratch about and, you know, they run around, and it's like, that's natural, right? Like chickens aren't entirely natural because we've sort of bred them to be what they are.
Yeah.
But that feels a lot better than having 100 hens in cages.
Yeah.
And they're all like, you know, and they don't muck them out for ages, so it just, like you say, it just stinks.
Well, but that would be with anything. With anything, you put humans together, like that 100 people or whatever, like it's always going to be this thing. And as you say, it's all about productivity to get the numbers as high as possibly we can.
And not only that, but to like reduce the cost, right? Because like people don't want to spend the money on it.
Yeah.
And I understand that, you know, like it's a problem I have with environmentalism where it can be inherently classist. And it's like, oh no, we should all eat free-range eggs and they should all have their own masseuse and all of this. And it's like, that would be ideal.
Yeah.
Not everyone can afford, you know, a $5 for 6 eggs.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, I get that, but
there's an interesting one. This is an interesting one. Like I was listening this today, or was it yesterday? One of the podcasts, they were talking about how, you know, it would be so much greater that if we would produce phones, right, and it would be produced in our countries like UK, States, whatever, and people would get a proper salary, blah, 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 blah. So, but that meant straight away that the amount of money what the corporation makes goes down.
Yeah.
Right? So, in the end of the day, corporation, company, whatever, their main target is to make as much as possible money. It's all about the revenue. And here, like in animal production, in all these huge farms and stuff, is the same concept. And the only way to reduce this inhumane conditions would be like in my head, you know, that government, whatever official will come in and see like the conditions. They will, okay, so this is way too many chicken in this small space.
Yeah.
You allowed only to have this amount of like give like very specific rules. Like if you don't agree with these rules, that's it. We're gonna shut you down, right? But then now question is like, so how these corporations convince the government officials, whatever, like, oh guys, we're gonna give you this much money. However, it works, but it's obviously it's fucked up somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, there are those sorts of rules, right? Like it's not the Wild West. Like people can't just do exactly what they want. But I think it's clear that some of those rules. I mean, it's like anything political, isn't it? You know, when money gets involved, you know, money talks, morals walk.
Hey.
You know, it's that thing. So I think, you get it, man. Like everyone's struggling, like almost everyone, you know, universally. So if you can reduce your costs, you will. Unfortunately, that comes at the cost of humanity in some instances, like especially with farming.
Yeah, and one of the greatest things about chicken and eggs, and especially when they don't have roosters, that means like there's there's no killing going on. So those non-fertile eggs is just an egg with a protein, amazing protein, good stuff for your health and everything is right there. And you still have the movement of vegans. Hey, shout out to vegans. Who was like, no, how dare you killing those? Then it's like, where is the problem? Like these chickens live their lives, they're enjoying themselves, they're laying these eggs. This is amazing for our health. This is a good source of food and all that stuff. What is your stance about that?
Well, I went vegan for like almost 2 years.
All right.
And it was fine.
I think I was vegan as well for a while.
Oh, really?
I mean, I think like
you think
because I was kind of shitty
sure.
vegan. I went vegan and then I think I started eating fish and
right. I'm currently pescatarian, but I went vegan for almost 2 years. And I get it, man. Like, I was raised vegetarian, so I understand the moral side of it. Eggs is a weird one because it's, you can't say, oh, they should live exactly how they lived because technically chickens never really existed in the wild because they're sort of like jungle fowl that we've, selectively bred over the years to become what a current chicken is. I mean, even if you look at pictures of chickens from the 50s, they were much slimmer. They were more for eggs than they were for meat. So, they had much less developed sort of like breast muscles and stuff.
Yeah.
That's a weird one. And also, if it's an unfertilized egg, you're like, well, it would rot otherwise. Although, I mean, chickens will eat their own eggs. So like with me, I mean, because I don't have my chickens to produce eggs, right? I have them because they're pets. They do produce eggs, and that's great. But sometimes I'll crack one getting it out of the cage or whatever, so I'll just chuck it on the floor and let them have it.
They destroy it, yeah.
Yeah,
I know,
and they go for it.
Yeah,
man.
I remember that.
Love
like, they go crazy.
Yeah. But also, like I was saying, like I give them all my weeds and like the outside leaves from my cabbages.
Is it edibles or they smoke them?
Well,
I would love to see high chicken.
I mean, I don't think they'd act any different, to be perfectly honest. They're just like, that's it. They'd act pretty much the same, I think.
So you got your chicken high once in a while?
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
No, I don't partake.
That's called animal cruelty. How dare you?
Showing an animal a good time.
Yeah.
No, I do not subject any of my chickens to hot boxes or anything like that. I will disclaimer. But yeah, no. So I basically feed them all the stuff that I don't eat from the allotment, and they produce a load of, shit, and that goes back on my allotment. So it's like they eat the bits I don't, and then they help produce more. So I've tried to make it a bit of a closed system.
Nice.
So like all the stuff that doesn't become compost, I feed to the chickens. The chickens produce shit that goes and becomes manure for the garden, which is great as well. Like it's really, really nutritious for the soil. So yeah, that all gets reused.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Can you still be a pescatarian and eat eggs?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. So
I thought pescatarian is mainly who eats only animal product is the fish.
No, so it's a vegetarian that eats fish.
Oh, it's a vegetarian who eats fish.
Yeah.
Oh, look at this. I learned something today.
There you go. So yeah, no, I eat eggs, I eat honey, obviously, because my bees produce honey. I was about to say I produce honey. That would take a very long time. No, I just steal it from my bees. But I'm very nice about it.
You say thank you at the end.
I do, genuinely.
To each bee separately.
Oh,
okay, before we go to bees, because this is another
Sure.
subject. So something else about chicken. So as a kid, I remember like I loved interacting with chicken. They just would come over and they're like so curious. Like some of them would cuddle. They would like little, how are your chicken? Do they like to cuddle with you?
A bit.
Yeah.
They, like I said, I think where they came from, they weren't treated very
Because
well.
of that, yeah.
So when I first got them, they were super wary of me. Like I'd walk in the pen and they'd all be on the other side.
Oh.
But now, like I've got like a little hammock that's in their ranging area. So sometimes I'll just sit there and read a book or whatever.
Yeah.
And I've had them like jump up on my lap before, which is lovely. It's absolutely lovely. I am constantly thinking, please don't shit on my lap.
That's what I just
Like,
thought.
so I was just like,
It's so lovely.
so I'm always like, oh, I'll just sit here so that your bum's like aiming off the side of the hammock.
Birds are pretty much the only animal who is not aware of their poop coming out. Not only like horses as well,
Yeah, and
they don't
mice
have
and
a filter at all.
Yeah.
Like dogs, cats, that's like these kind of animal, they have that awareness.
Yeah.
What's like the deer as well, they don't, goats as well, they just go anytime, anywhere they want.
Yeah,
it's very interesting.
It's because they don't have like a butthole.
Yeah,
like they have a cloaca.
Cloaca.
Which
I knew that.
apparently comes from the French for open sewer. There you go.
Nice. When we learn something, is that the song? No.
No. That's the one I
that's
get
the
a
one.
lot.
Wait.
Okay.
So what is cloaca?
It comes from the French for open sewer. There you go.
Nice one.
But yeah, so because like that white stuff on the outside of bird crap, right?
Yeah, what about it? Back home, we used to call it a chicken milk.
Oh, okay. Well, kind of, because that's effectively their piss.
Oh,
right?
is it?
Yeah, so it's like the outside is like their urea.
I'll put a picture here.
Oh, don't. That's an awful thing to talk about.
Make sure you send me a photo.
Yeah, I take pictures of it all the time, clearly.
So this white bit. But you have to do that in the voice of Attenborough? What was his name?
The white outer layer is their urea. There you go.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. We have someone from drama school.
There you go.
Yeah.
It's 3 years.
That's what's up.
So yeah, no, they're not aware of it. They will crap on you and not even think about it. So yeah, I'm always a bit wary of that when they want to come in for a cuddle.
Do you remember when you realized that rooster doesn't have a dick?
No. What, as in an outward one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
When did you realize
Oh,
that?
I always knew.
Well, since you were a kid?
Yeah, you can look at them. Like,
No,
what, you think there's just going to be some cockerel walking around with like some dangling set of bollocks? Like, what did you think? It'd be dragging on the floor, wouldn't it? Like,
That's a well-hanged rooster.
that cock's got a nice cock. Like,
No, but would you not think that when... Because this is like, I'm thinking about as a kid, I was
Right.
very mesmerized about how rooster jumps on a chicken,
yeah.
on a hen, and the dick comes out so quickly and disappears so quickly. I was just like, as a kid, I was like, because I would not talk to my parents about, hey, mommy, daddy, where is the rooster's penis? I would like try to figure out myself, right? I was like, where is the dick? It doesn't come
I'm now
out
just
anywhere.
imagining you like molesting a cockerel when you're a child.
I
Like,
wouldn't.
where is it?
Obviously, I wouldn't do that. But I thought, in my head, it's just like kind of somewhere hidden in cloaca. I don't know, in
Right.
roosters somewhere, and just jumps out quickly, goes in, and comes out. That's what I thought. And only like even because then you don't have Google, whatever. You're not gonna go. I wouldn't go to a library to find a book which would explain exactly their reproductive system and stuff.
Right.
And only years later, I found out that it's a butt kiss. So they kiss butts, and then as the rooster's butt goes on a hen's butt, it secretes or whatever you call it, the sperm, I guess. And do you know how long, by the way, for how many days those eggs can be fertilized?
I don't.
Oh, you're going to learn something. As far as I remember, I think for 10 days. For 10 days, so once in 10 days, if the rooster jumps on a hen, does its business, the eggs are all fertilized.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I'll bring that point back up when we do talk about bees, because that's there is a commonality there.
Oh, baby.
Slightly.
But no, seriously, like, when did you realize that the rooster doesn't have actual penis?
I don't know, man. It's not something I've ever really thought about, to be perfectly honest.
Is it weird that I thought about it?
A bit. I can't say I'm an expert in animal husbandry, to be honest.
But the funniest thing is, people who I know, but I would ask this random questions like,
Right.
I would say, how long do you think is the rooster's dick? And they were like, I don't know. It's like, then I was like, does rooster has a dick? Yeah. I was like, have you seen one? No. But then there's like certain types of duck who do have actual penis.
Yeah.
It's like a spiral or whatever
Yeah,
weird thing.
isn't it like the longest member for like
So
an
how-
animal
so
for,
how
its,
does it-
for the length of its own body?
But how does it make any sense that certain birds don't have anything? They have this butt thing going on, and some birds have this like mega thing.
I don't know, man. I'm not an evolutionary biologist.
And that was the main reason I invited you to the
Oh,
podcast.
sorry. Yeah, no, I'll take my PhD off of my Instagram page. Yeah.
PhD in roosters' dicks. Okay.
Doc of cocks. That's what you would be, wouldn't it?
And it's kind of funny, contradictory that, like, oh, you proper cock. Cocks don't even have a cock. The actual cocks. The roosters don't have a dick. Okay, so, yeah, this is something I thought I want to talk to you about, but you don't have much to add.
I'm sorry. Yeah, no, I don't. I'm sorry. I know you wanted to talk about animal dicks for like a good 2 hours, but I've got nothing. Sorry.
No, very specific roosters' dicks.
Oh, sorry.
But I just remember as a kid, I would be literally sitting in my kitchen and I see like my chickens and roosters hanging out there. And no, I wouldn't take the rooster. I would just see rooster jumping on chicken, and I can see that the chicken lifts somehow the tail, and rooster's like kind of goes from the side and and I was like, what is going on there? Because as a child, I would see like, we would have cows, goats, we have different animals. Like you see like if a dog goes another dog, there's something poking
Right,
it,
right.
there's something's going
Yeah.
on. And here there's nothing. I was like, what kind of evil magic is this?
Just chicken scissoring. That's all it is. Yeah.
And it's actually a butt kiss. Oh my God. So smart. I love it. My brain just works in mysterious ways.
Yeah.
Not in the right ways, but
unfathomable ways that none of us care to know about. To be honest.
Exactly. Now, one of my most fun things with chicken was as a kid, I would milk a cow. So we have a cow in the barn, and then we have chicken like just hanging around on the top, and then I would do the shooting with the milk on them. They did not enjoy it, but I enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. And usually my bucket was less than usual, and my mom would be, "Where's the rest of the milk?" I was like, "I drank it already." And chicken were all traumatized, covered with white goo.
Was that milk?
Oh! It was.
Oh, good.
And one more story from my childhood, which was obviously very normal.
Yeah, please tell me more about your childhood.
So we would always have one rooster, and then this rooster would get our hens up to no good, because wherever rooster goes, the hens are following them, right? So he's like, "Oof." And this rooster was taking them all the time to this place where my mom said, like, you make sure that chicken don't go there because it's going to get ruined, the garden and whatever,
Right.
the flowers. And in my kid's head, I thought, I said you once, I said you twice, I said you 3 times, you always still go there. And I thought the way to teach this rooster not to go there anymore, we had this, when the water collects from the roofs, like there's like these buckets or whatever. So I decided I'm going to put this rooster in that water and teach it that not to do it again.
Jesus Christ, you waterboarded a cockerel to stop it going in your garden. Christ. I think yours is the sort of farm I rescue chickens from, isn't it?
No, you can't, because they never made it.
Oh, shit.
Hey, and I remember that, but that was one particular rooster which was a proper asshole. And then when we ate it, then we were like all like, yes, celebrating it. What is the age span? What do you call it?
Lifespan?
Lifespan. Sorry, lifespan.
I think I did look this up once because
150 years.
yeah, that's it. No, it's just wise old hens just sat there judging your life choices.
With the beards.
Yeah. No, so I think they can live up to 15 years.
Oh, okay.
Which is a lot longer than I
Yeah.
expected. But all the hens that I've got
2 weeks.
Yeah, that's it. I put them to work. That's it. No, like the longest I've had a chicken live for is 3 years.
Oh, okay.
And I think a lot of the time that's because of like I say, the conditions I get them from. Sometimes, so actually the charity that I do go to, I spoke to one of the women there, and they were like, well, sometimes they just don't survive the move, and it's so stressful for them. And obviously, where we have selectively bred them, perhaps their hearts just aren't up for the stress of it anymore. So yeah, I've had a couple of times I've like done a rescue, like I've taken some in, and 3 days later I find one dead, and it's always sad.
For you, was you can't really know how long they're gonna live. Also, you had the fox invasion. How long ago was that?
It was the same year I got married, so it was 4 years ago.
4 years ago.
Yeah. It was very sad. It was very sad. Yeah, just got into the run, and the problem with foxes is it's not like it will take one and be like, oh, I'm full now.
They kill all of them.
All of them.
And they kill all of them and try to take all of them with them, or how do they do it?
No, so they basically, like, what I found was, I think at the time I had 6 hens, I found 5 bodies. So they just rip their heads off.
Right. And leave them there with the idea that they're going to come back probably to pick them up. Yeah.
I think they might cache them for later. I think some will, like, take a few to their den and then, like, leave them there for, like, later consumption.
Yeah. I would think that's why the digging thing goes handy.
Yeah.
So they would dig them, hide them somewhere, but that should be closer to wherever they are.
Yeah.
Speaking of foxes, how cool is their voices when they're ready to do them?
It's not cool. It sounds like
horrible.
Children being murdered. It's awful.
It's so
there's
bad.
a lot of foxes in Sig Cup. And I've... oh, dude. Dude, it's a lot. So I've sort of spoken to some of the guys at the plot, and I'm like, oh man, there's so many foxes. And it's like, yeah, they're so cute, aren't they? I give them all my scraps for my dinner. And you're like, oh, that's why there's a lot of foxes. Okay.
There you go.
And it's like, look, you know, we've built big old towns and cities, and there's not as much woodland area for them and not enough natural forage for them. So I get why they're there. They are still kind of a nuisance. And also, like, fox shit stinks.
Really?
It's that because they're eating chicken bones out of people's bins and stuff. So it's like, it's not like they're eating, you know, like a plump wood pigeon. You know?
Yeah, but they would stink. They would stink just as bad as like cats shit. I think cat.
I mean,
shit
don't
is
get me
also
wrong.
very stinky.
All shit stinks, but like fox shit is just it's on another
I
level.
love it. Just get me wrong. All shit stinks.
Yeah, but like no,
Like for my shit.
my scatology degree. Yeah,
Is that what is it called?
I don't know.
Shit experts view. I think.
Well, from listening to you talk for years, you know, that's where I gained my expertise. Yeah, no, it's just it's awful, man. And there's because there's like loads of them at the allotment, especially because I've got hens. They like just prowl around all the time, and you're constantly having to pick them up.
Yeah, it's the predator shit basically.
Yeah,
Whoever eats the like look at a cow or horse shit. Yeah, you can smell it, but it's not that bad
yeah.
at all.
It's not like vile smelling. It just smells like the countryside, doesn't it?
Very different.
Yeah.
Very different. Look, let's have another break.
All right, man.
Yeah, and then we back. The bee's knees. What does that mean, bee's knees?
I found out about this. It's actually it's kind of racist.
Oh shit.
Yeah. Apparently, it came from people like taking the piss out of Chinese immigrants. So,
No.
Yeah, so it was meant to be like you're the business, right? So it's like used to be like, oh mate, do you know Renars down the road? He is the business, mate. And then apparently with Chinese immigrants coming in, they're like, oh, he's the bee's knees.
That is weird because
Isn't it?
like I heard it on the Disney cartoon Frog, Mr. Froggy or something, and then they would make these black people, their community, they would come together and they would make the gumball, and that was like kind of getting together people. They'd make this big gumball and everyone is sharing, and then this father of this girl, he would say like, or the girl was saying, she was like, oh, just put a little bit of salt and it's going to be bee's knees.
Oh, yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's one of those things where, like, a lot of people don't know the origin of it. And, I mean, to be fair, look, if I'm wrong, then I fully accept that. But it's something I read about. What was the other one? I can't remember. There was another one that was kind of similar.
And also racist?
Yeah, again, it was sort of like taking the piss out of the way.
But
people
nowadays,
spoke.
what is not racist? Listen, anything and everything. Anyways, speaking about racism, here's the bee's knees.
Yeah.
So this is Eldredd's very special honey. I barely can read it. What does it say?
It says Harland Honey, and then the rest is my my address. So please don't show that on camera.
Why do you put the address on?
So it's part of the legislation. If you're going to sell honey, you have to have an address so that people can come back to you if. Say the honey's tainted with something, they can go, oh, I can contact the seller and let them know about it. You also have to have like the batch number, so you know like what year it was produced. If you've got like multiple apiaries, you'll be able to go, okay, so the honey from that batch was bad.
What the hell is apiary?
An apiary is a collection of hives. It's like where you keep your bees, basically.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
In fact,
wise.
a beekeeper is an apiarist.
Apiarist.
Yeah.
Sounds like purist almost.
Kind of. Well, I mean, apis is the Latin for bee.
Oh.
Yeah.
What is so bee in Latin means apis.
Yeah.
Wow. So almost like ape.
Yeah.
Apis. Pretty cool. Well, obviously you guys realize we're talking about honey now and bee stuff. So yeah, when you said about the bee stuff, how many years ago, I was like, wow, this guy's just getting cooler and cooler. He has a chicken. And now he has...
I'm glad you thought so, because everyone else thought I'd lost the
Dude,
plot.
I thought so cool because as a kid, I grew up in a farm. Like we didn't had our own bees, but we had a neighbor who was he had like 15 hives at some
wow,
point.
that's a lot.
Yeah, that was a lot. And it was his main income source, and he was selling the honey and stuff. And then I would be about 9 years old, and I would come over and help him to do some checking. Like mainly I would be hired to see something like the drones. So when drones. So I was responsible to get rid of drones because, potentially they just eat a lot of honey and stuff, and it's not good to have too many of those. And to explain us, what does that mean, drones?
So drones are the
Drones, so you did drones.
Yeah. So they are the male bees in a hive. So they're the ones whose entire job is to go off and mate with queen bees. That's
Right.
it. That's all they do.
Yeah.
And the rest of the time, they sit around in the hive and eat your honey and get in the way.
Yeah, and they're much bigger than the working bees. And do you think what they use, the word for drones, the flying drones, they took it from that?
Sort of. So a drone is actually like a musical term.
Oh.
So it's like,
That's drone.
That's a drone, right? So instruments like hurdy-gurdies and stuff, they're drone instruments, or like the bagpipes. Bagpipes is a drone instrument because it's like you constantly have that, and then you
And the
add the notes. Yeah, exactly.
Oh.
And because the bees make that sort of noise when they're flying about, they were called drones. And then the term is sort of, it's like, in like Star Trek, you've got like the Borg and you've got Borg drones, right? And it's like the idea that they're part of a collective. So it's like, it started as a musical term, then it became known for like an insect. And because it was an insect, it's become known as being like part of a collective. But also, so the sort of the noise that drones make, that sort of...
Yeah, but so now the question is, which one do you think was the first one? Was it a musical term before it was...
I think it was, yeah.
And then someone decided to call the big bees, the male bees, drones.
Yeah.
Because also the sound they make, that kind of funny because the bees make the same sound. Or drones because they're bigger, they would make
it's a
deeper...
slightly different tone, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, you can hear it.
Yeah.
Like, if it's a drone or if it's a worker bee, because drones are sort of a deeper tone.
Because I would think that the best sound for like also like the musical thing would be like someone like hornets, because they have even deeper sound.
I've not actually come across many hornets in my life. I mean, you'd think with having beehives, I would.
How about green hornet?
Loved green hornet, man. Bruce Lee, love Kato. But yeah, no, I mean, green hornets, they fly around and they sound like...
Good one.
Thanks.
Nice. So it's interesting, dude. Like, I'm learning so much. This is cool. So the sound of the voice, that's drone.
Yeah.
and then there's a male bee drone, and then the thing with flies is drone. That's the thing with attacks, and it goes wars now, which is less exciting.
Yeah.
But yeah, unfortunately, that's how it is.
Yeah.
Okay, so where it all started with your obsession with the bees?
I wouldn't say I'm obsessed.
Well, not
with the
obsession,
bees,
but
right?
your
Like,
interest.
I don't like dress up as a bee or anything. I'm not the guy from The Simpsons, but
And you don't produce your own honey like that, you know.
I mean, who would do that, right? No, it's So in my hometown of Chelmsford, right, you've got the Chelmsford Museum, which it's great, you know, for what it is. It's like a local museum, and it's fantastic. And in the top floor, they've got an observation hive. So they have basically a glass box that has a beehive in it, and you can go up and you can open a little thing, and you can just look in and see the bees doing their thing. And I was always fascinated by that. Like, it was always like, oh, I'm at the top of Molsham Street. I'll nip in and have a look at the bees, because it's such a cool little thing to see. So that sort of started it off in my head. And then I've got another friend of mine, Jay, who lives out in Mistley in Essex. And he was talking about sort of getting them. It was one of those sort of Wikipedia black hole topics for him. Like, he would just be like, oh man, I stayed up for like 3 hours just researching bees last night. And I was like, oh, that's super cool. And it's sort of that kind of got it in my head. And then one day we were out on that snowboarding trip that you weren't invited to. And we're in Austria, and the breakfast bar has got just a frame of honeycomb. Right, so it's not like a jar of honey or whatever. It's just an entire frame of honeycomb, and you just scoop a bit out, put it on your toast, eat it. And I was like, I want that. I want that. And I contacted my local beekeeping association and signed up for their beginners course, which was 6 years ago now.
Yeah.
So I was taught by this guy called Rudy Repka, who did a fantastic job of teaching me about bees. And still continually, because I go down sometimes to Bee Club on a Saturday, hang out with all the other people that are 2-3 times my age, and we all talk about bees. It's fantastic.
It's cool though. Like, it's a cool community. It's like, the reason I'm looking on the phone. Look, this is, by the way, like a gerb, or like the when they have on the flag, like this is a
like coat of arms or
a
something.
flag, or the coat of arms of the town where I was raised.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah,
that's really cool.
So for everyone to see it, I will post it on the side.
Yeah.
So it's basically represents how hard-working people are in the town and all that stuff, and like the work like as hard as bees, or as what the other word, adjective, what else you would say? Work as hard as bees, work as consistent as bees, work as just being workaholic bees.
Yeah, kind of.
So, and that's okay. And then it's been how many years you had, and how many hives do you have?
6 years. I got 3 hives.
And it's been always 3 hives.
Pretty much. I mean, so when you've got bees, sometimes they just die off over the winter.
Yeah.
And it's very sad, and having to clean out a hive that's just got a load of dead bees in it is unpleasant. But it happens sometimes, maybe you've got a super cold winter or a super wet winter, that sort of thing. It can all play a part.
But is it the case of not putting proper installation?
So it's a bit conflicting, because I've heard different opinions on it. One is that if you insulate your hives too much,
they can die from overheating.
Well, no, the bees all think, oh, it's nice and warm outside, I'll nip out. And then when it's not, they're like, oh,
right.
So it's, and I mean, you hear about sort of commercial beekeepers leaving their bees basically in a fridge over the winter. Wow. And it's the whole idea is that it sort of slows down their metabolism and stuff. I've heard conflicting reports.
That's
an
an interesting one, because I do remember as a kid, like our neighbor would get like for winter ready, like put certain things in, and I also remember he would say like, 1 or 2 hives just died.
Yeah.
So it's it's an interesting one.
But I'm on the swarm line. So there is the BBKA, which is the British Beekeepers Association. They have an active phone line. So if you're in an area, you can look up on the map and it will tell you who your local beekeeper is. And then you can call them and be like, oi, I've got some bees buzzing around a buddleia bush in my front garden. Do you mind coming and getting them? And we've got a local WhatsApp group for all the beekeepers in the local area.
Nice.
And it's like, oh, there's one on Harland Avenue. Can you go grab it? And sometimes you're like, oh, I think that might be my bees that swarm.
Oh no.
Yeah, so but I tend to go out and collect as many as I can.
For people who don't know what swarm is, can you explain it?
Oh yeah, so swarming is effectively like bees giving birth, right? So the thing about bees is, or honeybees specifically, because you get solitary bees and stuff as well, but with honeybees, they are what's known as a superorganism. So one bee is not its own animal. The entire colony is the animal, right? There you go. So you think about it in those sort of terms. Now, when a colony gets so big that it's finding that the confines of its hive are too restrictive, or perhaps their queen isn't up to snuff or something.
I thought it was all about overpopulation when they have too many bees and they realize they can get open now a new branch or whatever, branch it out. So it's like a family. Like if you have 5 kids and there's not enough space in the house, so that family or that children go to another place and create it's like tribes, like almost going from one tribe to another tribe.
So what will happen is the old queen will take half the bees, go somewhere else and start a new colony. And they will have made queen cells, which kind of look like little peanuts.
Yeah.
And one of those will birth a new queen, and she will take over the production of larvae and stuff in the hive.
Yeah, and the way to stop them to swarm is actually to destroy the potential new queen.
Yeah, there's a few different methods. The one that I tend to do is called demoreeing.
Okay.
And what you do is you have, so your main boxes are called your brood boxes, and then you have your supers, and your supers are basically just for honey collection, right? And between the two, you have what's called a queen excluder. And it's a mesh that is big enough for the workers to get through, but not big enough for the queen or drones to get through. And what you tend to do if you're...
It's like a fat shaming, basically.
Pretty much, yeah. It's like...
all the fatties,
no one over this size can get through, yeah.
No roller coaster for you.
Yeah. So basically, what you do when you're demoreeing is you put all of the open space bits in the bottom box, and then you put a second brood box above the super. And all of the young brood and eggs get moved up to the top, right? Because obviously the queen can't lay in those, so you might as well move them away. And then all of the emerging brood and the empty comb goes in the bottom, and then the queen can just keep laying, and that way the bees are never like, oh, we don't have enough space now. So that way they're not like, we've run out of space. They're just like, great, I've got loads of room.
Nice.
So that's one method. Yeah, another one is
what is it called again?
Demoreeing.
Demoreeing.
Yeah, so
sounds
to
like some kind of
demoree.
a god from The Witcher or something. The god Demoreeing.
I pray to demoree every day. Yeah. I guess it kind of sounds like that, yeah. It's a method, I forget, it's probably someone called Demoree, isn't it, that came up with it.
Very sounds like gonorrhea.
Oh, sorry, Doc, I've got a case of Demoree. But yeah, so they will also produce swarm cells, which are just multiple queen cells. And generally, you can tell them apart from supersedure cells, which is where they're just like, our queen's a bit old, we should get a new one. Because they will lay those sort of anywhere on the comb, whereas swarm cells generally are near the bottom. I mean, that's not a fast rule, but generally you can tell them apart like that.
Wow. So cool, man. What about these little red tiny parasites which live...
Varroa destructor, yeah.
Oh, Varroa destructor. I remember those. I remember that as a kid when I saw them first time, I was like asking to my neighbor, what the hell is that? That looks, scary. And they even don't call them just bugs, they call them a virus.
Sort of, yeah.
But they're tiny little bugs on the bees.
Yeah. It's a real problem. They came from Apis cerano, which is Asiatic bees, basically. So there are two main types of honeybee in the world. And you have Apis mellifera, which is honeybees, and then you have Apis cerano, which are Asiatic honeybees.
Oh wow.
There you go. And Varroa destructor was a parasite that was on Apis cerano, and that was fine. You know, there was no cross-contamination because they were over there, European honeybees were over here, never the twain shall meet, and then suddenly human beings started moving them about. And whereas Apis cerano can deal with them, they can just sort of bite them off, or it's not a problem for them.
Wow.
Honeybees didn't evolve with them, so they don't have a defense.
Don't know what to do with them.
Yeah, and it can do multiple things. One of the things is it allows the transmission of other diseases, because they're like ticks, kind of. They basically will like burrow a little hole in the exoskeleton of the bee and drink some of its blood. Or it's not blood, it's called hemolymph. It's a similar thing, but not quite the same.
It's like a liquid what maintains their life.
Yeah. And they'll drink that, but because there's now a hole, diseases can get in. So things like deformed wing virus and that sort of thing, they can really spread in a colony that suffers too much from Varroa mites.
Wow.
Yeah. And there are a few different ways you can treat it. You can treat it with, some people will say like sugar. So you can like just sprinkle icing sugar over the hive, and as they clean it off themselves, they also get rid of the mites. Oh. So that's like, personally, I don't know if that's actually a decent thing. But yeah, you've also got like formic acid. You've got I think thymol can help with that, but it's more for other things. And then you've got all types of strips and stuff that you can put in the hive, and it basically gasses out the mites. But the problem is, because they are an insect as well, you can't exactly use an insecticide in an insect colony, because you'll kill all your bees as well. So, and then they also adapt to certain medications, so you can't do that. But one of the ways that I tend to do it, purely because it's less chemical heavy and stuff, is I do drone capture. So you were talking about sort of getting rid of drones from the hive. What I do is so your standard brood frames are like about that deep. So what's that, about 8 inches deep. But the super frames, so the ones you collect honey in, are a little bit shorter. And if you put one of those in your main box around April sort of time, when they're looking at producing more drones, they will create a comb on the bottom, and that will almost exclusively be drone comb.
And also they're bigger.
Yeah. So they're bigger. So Varroa mites like them more because they're bigger. They take longer to gestate. So the young can basically stay in there feeding off this little larvae for much longer.
Yeah.
So they can produce more, basically. So they like to specifically target drones. So what you do is, you create this space. The bees fill it with drone comb. The second it's capped off, you slice it off, and I feed it to my chickens because they love it. It's a bit of insect larvae, bit of extra protein for them. And what you're doing then is you're taking out all of the young mites. So when the old ones die off, there's not as many to replace them. But
then can it get so bad that they just kill the whole thing? Kill the whole hive?
It's not so much the Varroa mites themselves. It's, like I say, the diseases that they help spread. But yeah, it can get that bad.
What else is there? What can be a serious problem, serious issue for a beehive?
You've got a lot of things. So at the moment, we're currently dealing with an influx of Asian hornets, or giant Asian hornets, or Japanese hornets, or whatever you want to call them. And there's been a load spotted near me, actually, which is troubling. But the like DEFRA are trying to deal with it. They've brought in task forces, and every time there's a spotting, they will send someone out who will track down the colony that they come from and destroy it.
Wait, sorry, what is DEFRA? What is that?
What is it? The Department for Environmental something.
It sounds like another god of something. DEFRA, is this on its way?
Kind of, yeah. Well, basically, they look after our environmental policy.
That is so cool. And so I'm guessing these these hornets, they again somehow got from some other countries, not
whether it's in like a fruit crate or something. But they've come over here. I think they became endemic in Western Europe, and then it's a short flight over the channel, and now they're here. And they're creeping around the country, but every time they're spotted, like I say, they send out a task force to go and destroy the.
I'm wondering how the hell they figure out. Like, let's say you have your beehive and they say there's some hornets get spotted, how they would chase them to get to their nest?
Well, one of the ways that you do it, it's an old bee hunting technique where basically you capture one bee, right? So you put like a bit of honey or something on a pad and you just put a little mark on it, like with a little pen, like a little chalk pen or something. Put a little mark on it. And when it flies off, you watch the direction it flies in, right? And then you walk in that direction. And then you keep a little trap out. And if you see that same bee come back, you're like, great. And if it's in a shorter amount of time, you'd be like, okay, I'm getting closer. And then you keep walking in that direction. And if the time keeps...
Why would that bee would come back?
Because there's an amount of food.
In the sense of like this bee, you caught it, let's say like it was pollinating whatever these flowers you have here. And then you put that little mark and then you see it flies that direction. As you go towards that direction, the same bee would stop at you because it
recognizes...
where it got the honey, where it got that food. Oh.
And in fact, you might get more bees coming to you because
that bee told to other bees, hey, girls, you're never going to believe what happened. So I thought it's...
I mean, kind of. But the way that they tell each other is through what's called a waggle dance.
Waggle dance.
Yeah. There you go. They shake their butts. They walk around and sort of like an
Do the
hourglass.
voice. Do the Edinburgh voice.
The which voice?
The Edinburgh, not the witch's voice. The Edinburgh.
The bee comes back to the hive and explains where to find a fresh source of nutrients. It does this by dancing around in a small circle, wiggling its little bottom to explain the direction of flight and the distance.
That is so good.
Thank you. Again, 3 years of drama school on show.
I love it.
But yeah, so that's how they tell each other, and then you keep seeing if it's getting closer or further away, and then you change your direction. You just keep going like that. But it's that sort of thing. Yeah.
Well, obviously it makes sense because if one bee find a beautiful tree or whatever full with flowers and stuff, they can feed the whole entire colony. Obviously, they have to have a way how to tell them what happened. Do you think they have a WhatsApp group?
Yeah. Well, they all just message each other on Bumble.
Yeah. Match. Good one.
But so it's a real problem. And again, similarly to the varroa mites, these Asian hornets, they existed in Asia and honeybees there learnt to deal with them.
Yeah.
Right?
So they can fight them or whatever.
Yeah. So what they tend to do is they bundle them
and
heat them up and basically cook them. Yeah.
And then these bees, our bees, don't know what to do.
They don't know what to do.
Fuck.
Yeah. So you can get like 5 or 6 hornets that will just rinse through a hive and just destroy it.
Wow.
You have to...
How many bees average in one hive?
During the summer, about 60,000.
60,000 in the summer. That's when they have all the worker bees bringing the...
Exactly.
And they bring pollen.
So they bring pollen, which is their protein source.
Yeah.
So generally you can tell if they're raising brood because they will bring back a lot more pollen.
Right.
So if you you can sort of tell this by not even opening the hive. If you watch your landing board, you can see a load of bees with sort of like big old pockets of pollen.
It's on their legs.
Yeah.
These massive things. Yeah.
And I think they're actually called pollen baskets. That's like the technical name for them. You see them carrying them in. You know that they're raising brood because they don't when they're not.
Yeah, because they need. It's funny. Like in Latvian, we call it maizite, bišu maizite, which means the bread of the bee, like the
bee bread.
Bee bread.
Yeah, that's what we call it too.
Yeah, and it's a pollen. It's like has so many amazing health advantages.
You can buy it here.
Holland and Barrett, exactly, and it's really good for someone who has allergies and stuff like that. But tell me about the process of how do they actually make the honey?
Well, honey is basically you think of any other syrup, right? So like maple syrup, agave, whatever. You basically get the so in the case of like maple syrup, you get the water from a sugar maple tree, and then you just condense it, right? You dehydrate it, and you get it down till it's a syrup.
Basically, try to get out of the water. Yeah.
Honey's exactly the same, except it's from flowers and trees. So the bees go around, they collect the nectar from the trees, from the flowers, whatever, and then they bring it back. Now, remember how I said about how the entire hive is like one animal, right?
Yeah.
They have effectively a collective stomach. So, you know, a bee gets back from a foraging mission. First thing it does is vomits in another bee's mouth. Yeah.
Wait. Do the Edinburgh.
I'm not doing it again. I'm not doing the whole thing.
I want to hear you just say the thing in the vomits another bag. Just that one. Come on.
The bee vomits into another bee's mouth. There you go.
It's like a bird feeding almost.
Yeah, kind of.
So why would it vomit to other bees' mouth?
So basically, every bee has a very specific task, right? You have forager bees that go around and collect. You have nursery bees, which
Look after
the young.
Yeah.
You have cleaners that just keep everything spick and span. You even have graveyard bees that sort of are there to get rid of the dead and diseased bees sort of around the bottom.
Are those all bees exactly the same?
Yeah.
Like biologically and everything is
Biologically,
exactly the same. But just they have different tasks.
Yeah, and,
so in
and a
general,
lot of the time it's to do with their part of their life cycle they're in.
Oh, okay.
So it's like the younger bees will be nursery bees, that sort of thing. Because it's like, oh, you're fresh out, you should be looking after stuff. And then when you get a bit older, you can go off and...
Yeah, and what is the lifespan for bees?
Over the winter, it's about 4 months.
Okay.
And during the summer, it's 3 weeks.
Wow, 3 weeks and they're dead.
They work themselves to death, yeah.
Jeez.
Whereas in the winter, they're basically, all they do is they huddle, they buzz a bit to keep warm and eat.
Wow.
So because they're not doing as much, they survive a lot longer. Although the queens can live a lot longer than that. I mean, I think your average honeybee queen will live about 3 years, but can live up to 5. Although a lot of the time they will probably supersede that queen after 2 years.
Superseded.
Yeah.
And there's only 3 types of bees. So it's the drones, the worker bees who do all the other stuff, and then the queen. That's it.
Yeah. But within the workers, like I said, there are different castes of what job they do.
Dependingly of their how old they are, basically.
Yeah.
That is really cool. Did you see that movie, the Bee? Like
Bee movie?
Yeah.
No, I've still not seen it.
Oh no!
It's Seinfeld that does the voice for it.
Seinfeld does the voice. It's so good. I really love. I've seen it like 4 or 5 times.
Right.
It's just so funny, like, and it so represents humans as well in a sense. Like, bees have to make that decision of what work they're gonna do, and they go and they do this little quick trip of like, oh, you have this option to do this, or do this and this, and there's like 5 jobs, and then you come over for like when you basically after you graduate, whatever school they have, then they have this trip, like then you have to make that decision for whatever job you're going to do to the end of your life. And it's not true. So like, according to what you just said, they can switch their jobs according to like how old they are. That is so cool to know that. And
but also that film's like it's like a statement against communism, isn't it? It's like they sort of, all the bees get depressed because they no longer have purpose in life.
Yes. But also, it's interesting that you said that. I never thought about it, but it's also against the capitalism.
Yeah.
So it's like, wait, so you're saying it's a pro-communism?
No.
Or against communism, or
kind of.
shows the communism?
It's the idea that, well, it's not, is it communism? I suppose it's more utopianism, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like, you know, that old article from like the 50s or 60s that was like, the problem in the future will be what to do with all of your leisure time. Whereas now we're all working far more than we ever have and being paid far less than we ever have. And it's no, that's not the problem of the future. Yeah. So like, in the Bee movie, it's like, oh, so humans are no longer stealing all of our honey. Great. We now have to produce a lot less honey. So we got a lot more spare time.
What do we do?
What to do with all that spare time, you know?
That was. It's funny you haven't seen it, but that's exactly what what it is about. As soon as they figured out, so they were fighting against that the humans were stealing their honey, right? And then they had a lawsuit. So Seinfeld character was having a lawsuit against this guy who was the owner of the biggest
head of Big Honey.
Oh no, he was like basically he was the lawyer who was representing all the honey farmers or whatever. And in the end, when the bee won, then everyone was like, so what do we do now? Like, there's not much going on.
And this is part of what I was talking about at the beginning of like the idea of sort of seeing the fruits of your labor, right? And sometimes like, you need that purpose, right? You need that drive. Like realistically, do I save money having an allotment? Not really. But I like the hard work of it. You know, it's like I like doing something that's very difficult. Because I mean, don't get me wrong, in terms of like stunts or whatever, it's not difficult, but it is time consuming, right? It's laborious.
Yeah.
That's the best way to describe it. But when you've done all of that work and then you sit down and you have a dinner and you're like, I grew everything on this plate.
Yeah.
Right? So the best one I ever had, I was sat on a bench at my allotment that I built myself, and I sat down and I had a drink of blackcurrant cordial that I'd made myself from fruit I'd grown, and I had my sandwich from bread I'd made that morning, wrapped in a wax wrap that I'd made myself from things from my bees, and it was a peanut butter and jam sandwich, and I'd made the jam from fruit I'd grown. So the only thing that I hadn't produced in this entire thing was the peanut butter. And I was like, that's great. I love that.
That's beautiful.
It's like one of those computer games, like the survivalist computer games, where it's like you start off and you build yourself an axe, and then because you've built that, you build something else, and you're just layering up technological levels. And I loved it. I love that feeling of like self-sufficiency and again, seeing the product of my own labor.
That is beautiful. But how often do you think about to live in a community where people build their own house, they have their own garden, they have all of those things? I just think like more and more I live in the civilization, whatever, and now I'm like living away from London. I'm just so much more happier than to be more kind of outdoorsy and all that stuff. But like, it was funny when I was a kid and we had all of those things. We literally, the only thing I think we were buying would be bread or something, which we could easily make. Not easily, but we could make. But my mom, she wasn't very like a great cook or anything. And but I would wake up in the morning, take a bowl, and just go from one bush to another bush. I would have some strawberries there, have a raspberries there. I have these new carrots, like the nice fresh. I go to river, wash the carrots and whatever, and would sit there and have my breakfast in like nature, river, and
Great feeling, isn't
and
it?
think but this is the thing, because I thought in my head I'm such a country boy stuck in this shitty country place. I want to be in city. I want to be like where the hip hop artists are. Obviously you don't understand those things. Now when you get older, you understand like
clubbing, eating donuts.
Yeah, exactly. Right. And then now you understand that that the value and like how we feel when we eat good food, how we feel, now again we understand that more. Like how nasty is the idea of like sugar rush. We used to think sugar rush was cool. It's not cool at all. Your body's freaking out. Your body's not happy. And then now we have this more awareness of like what is actually good stuff for us. Yeah. Obviously, I really appreciate that, we have those things.
I love that we are on that slight pendulum swing, right? It's like we started off in this country anyway, different in Latvia or whatever. Yeah. But it's like we used to be much more of an agrarian society, and then we swung to sort of production and then up toward financial. And that's kind of where we're at, is like our country is basically a big financial hub, or thanks to Brexit, a little less than that. But, sort of in the 80s, that was how our country was structured. We moved away from manufacturing. We moved to a service-based economy. But because of that, people got divorced from working in fields and all the rest of it. Yeah. And now we're getting that slight swing back. There's that joke about sort of, when I was in my 20s, I just want to go out and club, and now all I want is a little baby goat and some chickens. And it's like, I'm kind of, mate, if I could afford a farm, I would buy one tomorrow.
I think the main reason why we are, that pendulum is going back, because humans just realize that all that lifestyle of suits and whatever is actually bullshit.
Yeah.
Because they just didn't know that. They just didn't know that. We didn't know that, like Americans, look at America, and UK has, UK is the most obese country in Europe, right? And like how all this fast food, what it does to us. But back in the days, and like no one could judge anyone. Just like, maybe cigarettes was a different thing, but cigarettes as well, for how long people thought, it's just good for your calming your nerves down. It's like no one even saw that there's something going on there. Yeah. And then afterwards, everyone is getting cancers and blah, blah, blah. Even now with the vapors, the vapes. Now they're literally saying like your lungs get these nasty bubbles. There's all sorts of issues.
Popcorn lung.
Yeah, popcorn lung, exactly. And it's like, I heard that someone said like, yeah, really? we smoke something what is produced for cheap money somewhere in China, and we thought that this is not going to be bad for us. But obviously, even if someone knew that it's going to be bad for us, but there's so much money to make. Come on, man. Like, we can't,
Yeah, man.
all this thing. And when you see, like, those who do the vapes, it's even crazier. Like, with the cigarette, you have some kind of a ritual in the sense you go outside or whatever. So, vapes is anywhere. You just have a little puff. It's crazy. I remember I got done with this like 3 weeks or something as well. I got this vape pen. I was like, so nice. You just, it's perfect. And yeah, just going back to the whole idea is that humans are learning. And it's like, that's the main reason why we figured out what are the actual values.
Yeah, and I think actually COVID was responsible for a lot of that,
True.
right? Like, you had people that were like, these are the things in my life that are important. I want to focus on my career and getting a Mercedes and all this. And then COVID happened. They're like, man, I miss my family. I miss going out for walks. I miss, just seeing nature. And then, I think that's what's caused a lot of this, like, millennial sort of horticultural interest.
Yeah.
And it's actually quite funny because, like you were saying, when I first got my allotment, people go, who's this weirdo, right? And then during lockdown, the amount of people that messaged me and were like, Dredd, I'm trying to grow some tomatoes. You don't know how to do that, do you? It's like, I know exactly how to do that. But I'm too old and I don't know how to use technology.
Yeah, it's going to cost you now.
Oh, mate. No, I mean, this is the thing. Everyone who asked, I was always, because shared knowledge is an important thing.
That's beautiful. And I think that, again, one of the biggest ones is that awareness. What is the humans, how they learn. What used to be trendy 10, 20 years ago, it's not trendy anymore. Yeah. And then, also living in Bali for how long time? I went 3 times now there for each time 5-6 months, meeting all these people who are like lost and they're trying to figure out what they want to do with their lives and what is important in your life. And they find breath works and they find yoga and they find all of these things. And it's like, how is it even possible that things like us sitting at the desk for 8 hours a day, cooped up in some kind of office somewhere, it could be possibly good for us? Like, when did we... Question is, when did we went so wrong? But again, there's someone who is interested in make cash out of this whole thing. Obviously, they're like, oh, you just work for me, you know.
Yeah.
And
I don't think it's that we ever thought it was good. We just never considered it. It was like, this is a necessary part of life, so we do it.
And that's the only way to do it.
Yeah.
Like, we kind
it's
of
like,
no other way.
Sending kids into, textiles factories. I don't think we ever were under any illusion that, like, that was good for them. But we were like, but we need to make things, so there you go. I think it's more that workplaces didn't care about the health of their employees.
Yeah.
I mean, as long as it didn't affect productivity anyway.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
and they
It's
still don't care as long as they can make that cash and as long as they're not getting sued by someone. At the end of the day, it's all about the profit.
Yeah,
That's
it's the thing from Fight Club, isn't it? It's like, if the cost of doing a recall is more than the cost of the average settlement, we won't do one. It's like, it's not about the common good, it's about profit margins.
Oh my God.
Sorry, this is a conversation with me, so
No,
I get on my little left-wing soapbox
No,
a lot.
I'm saying, oh my God, is because, like, it's great that we're finally getting aware of it.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
And it's crazy to see that some people almost like live in denial, or they are aware, but they're like, oh, but I have my paycheck. And I remember when I lived in Canada, that's the first time I noticed like how disgusted I was to this idea that, oh, I'm doing this job, I hate it, but it pays the bills.
Yeah.
I like hated that expression so much.
But again, this is what I was getting onto with the whole idea of like environmentalism and stuff being inherently classist. It's like, it's great for us to have these conversations to be like, oh man, I just feel more fulfilled in my freelance, thing. It's like, well, that's great because we don't have kids, we don't have parents to look after, we're not saddled with a huge mortgage. And it's like, for people who are, you need to go out and work. And it's like, and I remember I was sort of seeing this girl who was she was a PA for, I think it was UBS or something. It was like one of those companies. And I had this real wake-up moment when she was like, you come across as being really open-minded and stuff. And I was like, oh, thanks very much. And she said, but you shit on like the average person a lot. And I was like, what? And she's like, you're always going, oh, I could never work in an office. Like, imagine living that life. And it's like, most people do. Most people have to live that life. You know, like for society to function, people need to do those jobs, right? So it's like, as much as it's not for me, like I get that that's not for me, I also understand that it is for some people. Like some people like their little office community. You know, they like getting the social interaction that you get from an office and stuff. And cool. You know, if you want to live that life.
That is a very interesting concept, and I do agree at a certain degree. And I remember my dad was very interesting when I was about to say, I was saying like, oh, I'm gonna move to Canada. Like, you know, I'm done with this. I was just like, I want to get away from Latvia, and then so after like a couple of years, I came back and I would meet up like these kids in a school. Like my English teacher would arrange like little like lectures. So I could tell them like, you know, anyone can make it. Anyone like can travel and explore and learn all these things. And my dad said this thing. He says, listen, humans are like birds. Some birds are happy to have their nest right next door. And some birds have to nest all the way somewhere in Africa.
Yeah. Just
because they have that sense. And I definitely learned a couple things from that. But I said also to my dad, but it's great to show these kids that there are opportunities, that there are different ways to live your life.
Yeah. In case you
do want to nest in Africa.
In case there's one bird nesting and realizes, no, I need to fly south.
Yeah.
You know,
exactly.
if they never know that's an option, then yeah, absolutely. But it's, I mean, I think as long as you're happy in your life, great.
Yeah.
You know, like live the life you want to live.
Yeah, exactly. But the question is also how many people are faking? How many people are saying that they're happy and everything's fine? That's other stuff. Since, you know, like you see kids in a school, someone's going to straight away say if they're not happy about something. And someone can be unhappy but not raise their voice, not raise their hand. And it's like, excuse me, teacher, what the fuck is going on? You know, and I remember I had this very vivid point in my university when I was studying business. We would have this professor comes in. She puts this like huge thing on the board, and okay, guys, just sit now for next like half an hour and write this down. And I was only one out of like 50 pupils. I got up and I was like, why can't you just email this shit to us? Why would we be sitting here and literally writing word by word?
Sounds like a terrible teacher.
Yeah, I was like, what are we paying for? And the thing is, like, I was not as amused with the situation from the teacher's perspective. I was more surprised from the student's perspective.
Yeah, that sounds like terrible value.
Yeah, how come no one else is asking this question? How is it possible? So, and that was such a typical concept of sheep, just like, oh, okay, well, they told us to do it, we're going to do it. We're not going to question authority and stuff. It is a crazy one. Okay. Cool. We're done with bees.
Okay.
Which was amazing subject, and I loved it. There's so much more things we can talk about bees.
I didn't even talk about drones' dicks exploding or nothing.
Oh my god! Oh, well, okay, we're going back to bees.
Shit. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
right,
you got me there. Listen, you have to say the magic word.
So
drone dicks exploding.
Yeah,
okay.
Drones' dicks explode. That's it. You know, no context. I'm just leaving it there. Moving on. No, it's so when honeybees like mate, right? You get like a virgin queen. She flies off.
Yeah.
And the reason that drones' eyes are so big, like they take up like 2/3 of their entire head,
because the dicks are about to explode.
Oh well. That's it. They're just. That's it. They're just like,
oh my god.
Yeah. I know we're wearing glasses, but yeah, I hope you get the yeah. Basically, it's so that they can spot a queen flying because they mate on the wing, right? They fly and then.
I knew that.
But basically, a queen will mate once in her life. She will mate with about 10 to 12 drones. And basically what happens is one mates, its dick blows up, it dies, and then she uses her back legs to like pull its dick out. Ready for the next one.
Wait, you have to say that in a voice. Sorry.
I can't.
No, you have
I can't
to.
keep doing the...
Do it.
What? Okay, how do I even structure that
I don't know.
a quick soundbite? It's like, after her first suitor's dick explodes, she pulls it out with her rear legs, ready to have a train run on her immediately.
What does that mean?
Having a train... I'm not going to teach you that, man. You can don't Google that. Your search history will be awful. Wait a
minute. Okay, so the first partner, like the penis explodes.
Yeah.
And then there's next partners come in.
Yeah.
And they continue having sex for how long?
She flies once in her entire life. and spends the rest of the time in the colony.
How is that possible? So like once, and you said they live up to 5 years.
So this is what I was saying. I would bring back. You were talking about how eggs will fertilize for up to 10 days.
Wow.
Whereas with bees, it can be up to 5 years.
That is insane.
She's
That
just
is
got like
so
a
cool.
little cavity. She keeps a whole load of bee jizz in, and she releases one bit at a time every time she lays an egg.
Okay, so question: why does the first suitor's penis have to blow up?
It's the method at which they reproduce.
And so it just blows up. The drone obviously dies.
Yep.
And the next ones come and continue doing it. How many other
10 to 12.
10 to 12 other partners going to come and do?
But like I say, like it blows up, but it's left in there, and she has to use her rear legs to like pull it out, ready for the next one.
And then, but no one else's blows up.
What do you mean?
Oh, so everyone else's?
Yeah.
All of
every
their dicks
single
blows
one.
up.
Every single one.
Oh my God.
Yep.
So
It's tough being a bee.
oh,
Hey, it gets worse because in the winter, when there's no use for drones, the workers bite their wings off and kick them out of the hive so that they don't eat up all the stores over winter. Yeah. So either you get lucky and your dick blows up, or you have your wings ripped off and kicked out into the cold.
wow.
That's the life of a male bee, man.
Well, it's not far from the male life in here.
Yeah, no, my wife's always behind me with a pair of scissors ready to cut my wings off.
Or to cut your dick off. Oh,
no,
shit.
this is it. We're trying for kids, so
This
she still
is
needs
such
that.
a cool info. Like, I did not know that. Well, I can imagine that if my neighbor would try to explain this to me when I was like, 9 years old, and this is what happens. Now it would be more like, my son, I will tell you this.
Oh, no, penis. It blow up.
It blow up. Penis, don't fuck a queen. It blows up. Wow.
Yeah.
That is very cool. Okay, what else? So what else do you have in your box of knowledge? What else is quite creepy, interesting?
In terms of bees, that's it, man, I'm afraid.
Let's say also, like we earlier talked about this, people who have beehives and stuff and consume honey, they live quite healthy lives.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
it's
I've
not
heard
only the honey, not only the bee bread, which is the pollen, but also when they get stung by the bee. Apparently that is very good for your health as well.
Yeah, I've heard it.
How much you know about that?
Not a lot. It's sort of anecdotal. I don't think they've done any actual clinical trials on it yet. But yeah, basically, they say it can help stave off arthritis, getting stung.
Yeah, that's what I heard as well
Yeah.
back home in Latvia. That's what I was saying. And yeah, that's interesting because it could be something to do like just like we do the cold showers. So when body gets into this like a shock thing, so it's almost it releases those proteins or whatever they call them, but it's basically the countries like Russia, Eastern European countries, we were doing the cold bath since like back in the days, whatever.
Yeah.
So sauna, jump in a cold water, or even without sauna, just swim in a freezing water. And people knew that that improves your health because they were saying like, well, it toughens you up. Whatever doesn't kill you makes you stronger kind of thing. So I'm thinking like if that stung, if you get stung like first couple of times, whatever, it puffs up or whatever. But if you get stung quite regularly, your body doesn't react on it anymore. It doesn't feel
To a
like
point.
it's
Because I know there's an old friend of the family, Helen, who's a beekeeper, and she's now allergic because she's been stung so many times. She's developed an allergy.
Really?
Yeah. So that can happen.
But do you think that is because of the stung so many times, or because body just changes, just like we get lactose intolerant all of a sudden, even though we drink milk all our lives?
I feel like it's it is your body adapting to it, because otherwise
Somebody's like saying fuck this.
Yeah, I think so. I think if you get stung that many times, then I know people that are allergic to bees that still keep bees. They just have an EpiPen in their jacket. There's one woman at my club who she's got this. It looks like a spacesuit. Her beekeeping jacket, right? It's like it's got these like hexagonal, like a honeycomb sort of pattern to it. It's about that thick, but equally it just looks like nothing could sting you through it.
Wow.
Because it's just like quite puffy.
Because I remember my neighbor and also my dad, when he was doing beekeeping afterwards, they never would wear gloves. And I was like, do you wear gloves or not?
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Depends. You can tell how pissed off the colony is, right?
Yeah.
So like I've kept bees before, and I've done a honey harvest without a suit on. You
Because
know,
they were just like so peaceful.
they're just
You
chill.
can feel it. Yeah.
And then, but the same colony, like going into the winter, will be like, we need to protect what's ours. And they will
Right.
be like the colony that probably did the best this year. When I checked on them in the winter to just make sure they were doing all right, they went for me. Like the sound of them hitting my suit was like the sound of like rain on a tin roof. Like it was bad. So yeah, the temperament can change. So yeah, it depends.
That is a very interesting subject, actually. This point is we used to have a dog who got attacked by bees and got killed.
Shit.
Yeah, and this is kind of a crazy story. For those who love dogs, I'm probably not going to tell the story. Not going to finish the story. But what is the idea? How come the hive can just go totally aggressive? Not even when you touch them or anything. They just go aggressive around any this environment. They attack anything. Why does that happen?
So when we're talking about bees, we tend to not say that they're being aggressive. We say that they're being defensive, right? Because it's not like they're going out to pick a fight. But if you walk into their area, they'll be like, no, you stay out of our area. Right. So it's not like they're going after things to, like, they gain nothing by stinging your dog.
They die.
Yeah. But if it's to protect the colony, they do. So they're being defensive, not aggressive. But it can be down to genetics, man. So one of the big things is if you get an aggressive colony, what they suggest is that you requeen that colony. So you can either take... So you basically take the queen who's responsible for creating all of those bees and you kill her, right? Which is sad. And I've had to do it not because they were defensive or aggressive, but because she was drone laying, which is where she only lays male bees.
Yeah.
And then the colony would die off if I didn't. So I had to, right? And then what I did was I took that queen out.
She just wanted some blowing up dicks.
Yeah, that was it. So what I did was I took another frame of eggs from another colony, moved them into there, and then they produced a new queen cell. If you don't have that option, what you can do is order a new queen on the internet. And then they arrive in like it's like a little matchbox. It's about that big. And she comes with like 6 other bees, which are her like attendants. And there's like a little sugar plug, which stops them from escaping. And then what you do is you take the queen out, you wait like 2 or 3 days so that the queen pheromone has left the colony. And then you put the new one in, and you hope that they take to her. And if they take to her, what they will do is they will eat away all the sugar, she'll be released into the colony, and then she'll start laying eggs. And then after about 3 weeks...
And if they don't like her, they just kill
sting
her.
her to death, yeah.
Fuck.
And the thing about honeybees is, you know how they sting us and they die? They sting another insect, they don't. Like the whole thing is that we've got really elastic skin, so their barbs get stuck.
So they can
whereas with
sting other insects and they're fine.
infinitely, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That is another cool thing. I never heard about that. But how come then wasps can get away with that and hornets can get away with it?
They just have a different style of stinger.
Yeah.
It's just like they're built different. They're built different, son.
So, but then could it be something with evolution that the wasps were kind of getting ready to fight animals and fight all the ones which are with the elastic skin, and then honeybees, they were not meant to fight us?
I'm not
Could
an
be something to
evolutionary
do with
biologist.
evolution,
Yeah,
I guess?
maybe. I mean,
That's interesting.
Because the thing about a bee's stinger as well is you think about it like it's like a thorn, right?
Yeah.
But it's not. It's actually made of 2 parts. So it's like 2 needles side by side, right? And what happens is like it's the bit that they leave is like the venom sac, and it's also almost like a motor. Because basically what happens is you have these 2 barbs, and one will press in, hook, the other will press in, hook, and it just goes like that. So it actually buries itself into your skin.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's like you can watch it under a microscope and you have these 2 little needles doing that and just burrowing into whatever it is. Which is why, by the way, if you ever get stung, don't grab it and remove it, because you're effectively injecting all the venom in.
Yeah, so what do you do?
You get like something like a knife or something, you just scrape it along your skin, and then it pulls it out without just squeezing the venom sac in.
But what if you, instead of squeezing the bee or whatever, you just grab bee slightly and just pull it out so it wouldn't squeeze it though? So you kind of...
Well, you'd still have to squeeze it to gain purchase, wouldn't you? Because you still have to put some pressure on the outside of it. But yeah, better to brush it off than scrape it.
Yeah, brush it off as well.
Yeah.
That is interesting. And then also, who gives the lays the queen? Only other queen?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So biologically, there's no difference. Sorry, genetically, I should say, there's no difference between a worker and a queen.
Right.
The difference is how long they're fed for in the larval stage.
Right.
If you feed them for longer, they become a queen, and then they develop ovaries and all the rest of it. And yeah.
Wait a minute. So that means that queen can become any bee?
No. So it's in the larval stage. So any bee egg, any fertilized bee egg can become a queen bee if it's fed for long enough.
Right.
Right. But once you're what you are in the gestation period, you're stuck as that.
Right. But then obviously because it's going to be longer, they do need to have a bigger place for them to live.
Yeah.
So that's why they create the bee queen cells. Yeah. And talking about cells, like how is this possible that bees can create this perfect 5-angle how do you call it?
6.
Oh, it's 6. Hexagon.
Yeah.
Perfect hexagon, just like when the fighters, they're in the hexagon, right? Yeah. So how
Octagon.
can they... Sorry?
It's the octagon, isn't
That's
it?
octagon.
Yeah. So that's 8-sided.
Oh, is it 8?
Yeah.
Oh my God, I'm so smart. So octagon, this is hexagon. There you go. Learn something. And so with the hexagon, how is it possible they can create all the time perfect dimensions? And is it perfect or can be slightly off?
It changes slightly. So like you were saying, like drone comb is slightly larger.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, worker cells are smaller, drone cells are larger, and then queen cells
But is it
obviously are
still
much larger.
perfect hexagon?
Yeah.
How is that possible?
They actually use their bodies to measure the gaps. So sometimes you'll open up a hive. I mean, I've done it where maybe a bit of the comb is broken or
and
something.
you can see they have a tape measure.
Kind of. They're all like linked arms, and it's like they're going, "Hey, Renars, how wide is this shed? Hold my hand a second. Okay. Oh, it's okay. Right, it's 2 people wide. Great.
Two people wide. Oh,
right,
okay.
we can fit 3 hexagons in that space.
Did you hear about this thing? I don't know if it's bullshit or not, but they basically came up with the width of the railway or the rail thing.
Yeah,
the
I've heard
average of the penis length.
No.
Well, that's what I heard.
No.
You always have to be penis.
No, it's...
Come on, if men made it, it has to be penis.
All right, yeah, fine. Yeah,
So that's why
everything in our world is phallic.
That's why in Africa they have
much wider railways, is that it?
Very wide railways. Not the metal thing, not the distance between rails. It's the actual.
Okay.
Obviously not. Yeah.
I was like, because I know why they're that wide.
Yeah, I'm not about the width. It's about width is about something carriage.
Hey, sometimes it is about width, all right? Like,
Says 2 guys who have only width. That's all we got. The girth.
No, I had no idea that's what they based railways on.
Oh God, I could look it up. Should I look it up?
Why do you have so much dick knowledge?
What's wrong with dick knowledge?
I mean,
it's very important.
That's fine if it's one aspect of your knowledge, but it's all of your knowledge.
I will try to do Edinburgh. It is all about the dick knowledge. Oh fuck! I sound like some kind of a. Today we will talk about the dick knowledge. Did you know?
You sound like you should be on, like, I don't know, some kind of
ancient
register
Greeks.
and not the stunt register.
I don't know, some kind of different kind of register. So when I moved here, I had to go around the neighborhood and said, "Hello."
Hi, I'm Renars. I'm on the register. Don't worry, I'm okay.
Yeah, this kind of register. Oh God. Dick knowledge register.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay, so what was your knowledge about the width?
It was to do with horses, wasn't it?
Yeah, the carriage.
Yeah.
Is it the
Yeah. So it's your average road is sort of the width of 2 horses because it was to do with Roman roads, which were based on how wide a chariot was.
Yeah, and in England it never changed.
No,
in Canada, I remember when I was in Canada, so they have these wide, massive roads, and then I moved to UK. I was like, what the fuck's wrong with these people? Well, similar in Italy or in any other old European countries, it was the same thing.
Well, not in France because they rebuilt all the old boulevards and stuff, didn't they?
Oh, did that?
Which they reckon was partially because of the French Revolution. Because the whole thing with boulevards was you can drive tanks down them. So suddenly, if your population becomes unruly, you can march an army down the street and sort them out. Whereas the problem they had in the French Revolution was they would barricade the streets, so the army couldn't get in to like stop the revolutions. So they were like, right, let's stop that then, and yeah, that's why they've got big wide roads in Paris.
That's interesting. Look at you. You know about the drone dicks, and you know about why the
Drone
roads
dicks
are so...
revolution, mate. That's going to be my autobiography term.
Oh, dude. Listen, we've been talking quite a lot. It's going to be like 3 hours podcast. Let's okay. So I think that's it about the bees.
Let's leave it with that.
Let's leave it with that. I think it was really cool stuff, like the dicks exploding, and then so many of them. Oh, jeez. I'm just like trying to comprehend this now. It's like I lived all my life and didn't know this. Indeed,
it's a life half lived, mate.
Yeah. Okay. So the reason why we like call it dressed up, this is like the fun segment,
right.
but we were like already covered the fuck segment, fun segment about the bees. And the dicks and stuff. So this is when I was asking you about your 3 favorite movies, 3 favorite people, 3 favorite books. So unfortunately, I did not have any time to read books to check them out. But can you remind me what was the titles?
So it was American Gods by Neil Gaiman.
Yeah.
What were the other ones I told you? I got a lot of favorite.
There's something books about like some hobbits and Harry Potter, something like imaginary creatures.
The Wizard of Earthsea
of
by
course.
Ursula Le Guin and London Under by Peter Ackroyd.
Yeah, London Under. What is that?
It's actually, so it's a non-fiction. It's all about just subterranean London. It's about abandoned railways and hidden rivers where they've sort of, like the Fleet River, where they've had to sort of build over it.
Yeah.
So it's still there. It's actually, so the Jubilee line in London was originally going to be called the Fleet Line, because the northern part of it sort of almost follows the route of the Fleet River. They actually have to pump something stupid like 68,000 gallons of water out of it every single day.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, because this is like, what is it? Edinburgh. In Edinburgh, they have the city on a city on a city.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what is that not just Edinburgh, other cities as well in the UK?
Not that I'm aware of, maybe.
Yeah. Do you know what was the actual the story behind Edinburgh? Why they had to build city over another city?
I don't know. I mean, my brother and sister live in Edinburgh, but I don't know that much.
Did you go
about
there?
it.
Did you go? It's like
I've been there a load.
Yeah, like a museum thing.
Not just that, but like the Fringe Festival.
Oh, okay.
Struggling actor had to go to the Fringe.
Of course. I have some comedians from Bali who are in Edinburgh Festival right now.
Oh, cool.
And they were like saying like, it's cold here. It's like rainy here. It's like, it costs us so much to get here.
Yeah.
They spend literally their life savings.
Dude, and every single place charge a fortune during the Fringe. Like, I've been to places, like I went to this one Thai place, I can't remember the name of it, but like they literally add like £3 onto everything during the Fringe.
And to try to find place to stay as well.
That's it, man.
So
Accommodation is
accommodations.
mad. I'm lucky I've got a brother and sister that live there because I can just crash on their sofa.
Yeah. Wow. Because that was kind of, I thought about Edinburgh Festival to do stand-up there, but then I found out that you need to like sell your flyers. You need to like try to get people to your venues and
I
stuff
think
like.
the average audience for a show is one person.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Nuts. Okay. That's that.
So yeah, London Under. Great
London
book.
Under, yeah.
Highly recommend it. They talk about sort of, subterranean caverns that are there, about the composition of London's soil and stuff. I mean, that bit's more about subsidence because everything's built on clay. So as the ground heats up because everything's paved, the ground's shrinking, which is what's causing buildings to sink and stuff.
That sounds very interesting. Also, I learned quite a bit of history of London when I did the... I wanted to get a job on these boats to be...
Was that the Clippers?
Yeah. To get...
My wife worked for them for a little bit.
Did you? You worked on them?
No, my wife.
Oh, your wife worked on them.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I used to do cycle tours of London.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I remember.
Yeah,
I remember. I think we talked about this before. Right. How long did you do that?
Oh, God, like...
A while.
4 years?
Right.
Yeah. Working for Breakaway Bike Tours.
Right.
Shout out Breakaway Bike Tours.
Hey. Shout out.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to get a job, but I learned all these facts or whatever, and I had to go there. And it was so annoying because it's like on the boat is quite noisy, and they wouldn't give you any microphone, nothing. So you have to like yell the whole time. I was like, wow, these
Just like, and over there you can see the House of Parliament.
Exactly. But it was cool to learn certain facts. I mean, I like the story of the Great Fire of the London. What was
1666.
that? Yeah, 66. And it's crazy. It's the number of the devil, 666, 666 or whatever. And I'm just wondering, like, did it become a number of a devil after that fire?
No, it was in the Bible. Wasn't it?
Was it before that?
Yeah,
That was pretty crazy, though, if you think about it. And then how the fire started from that baker guy who just like his bakery gets set on fire and whatever. And and so we need to learn all these facts about certain things. There was also Belfast, the
HMS
ship.
Belfast.
Yeah. So like the bomber, and it was built actually in the same place where the Titanic was built. So it was interesting. It was a cool way to learn stuff.
Yeah, man.
Thanks for suggesting this book. I would check it out because like it's pretty cool to learn this kind of history.
Yeah, the other two were American Gods by Neil Gaiman. Highly recommend that. There was a short-lived TV series of it, but they went off-piste. They didn't follow the book because apparently Neil Gaiman wasn't actually involved in the production process. So basically they sort of went off a bit, and then they had all sorts of production issues, and eventually it stopped. So they never actually reached the end of the book, which was a big shame because it's the first season was great. It was really faithful to the book, but that book is brilliant. I've reread it about 2 or 3 times.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Okay. Sweet. And what was the third book again?
The Wizard of Earthsea
that's
by
fiction.
Ursula Le Guin. Yeah. It follows the story of this guy called Ged, and it's just great. I'm not even going to talk about what it's about because I want people to read it. It's fantastic.
Did Ged had an allotment?
No, but he kept goats as a child.
There you go.
So yeah.
We used to have goats when I was a kid. Like we had 15 goats.
Jesus.
Up to that, like my mom, who's a journalist, she loves to read all these different books, and she read this book about the goats and how healthy and amazing is the goat milk and all the goat milk products. And we got like 1-2 goats, and then end up to 15 goats. Me and my
Free
dad.
lawnmower as well.
Sorry?
Free lawnmower as well.
Yeah, pretty much. No. We used one of the goats. We used as a guard dog. Like it was so aggressive. Anywhere where because we would have a chain and a stick in the ground. And I remember that we had this annoying lady used to come to our side of the river, and she would just put there all her bloomers and stuff, and just sunbathing, and that's kind of our access where we usually look after and whatever. And like this lady was there, and then I said to my mom, let's put our nasty goat there. And we put it there. That lady never showed up again. It was perfect. And what are we talking about? Fuck.
The Wizard of Earthsea, fantastic book. Ursula Le Guin,
went to
great author.
To the goats, yeah. Oh, because they were having goats.
Yeah.
And then the cool thing was after that, we had these goats in our barn, and then after we got rid of goats, that became my gym for karate. So I was like a national team in Latvia, and that was my gym in a goat barn.
That's very like Rocky 3, isn't it? Sorry, Rocky 4.
Yeah, pretty much.
Just working out there, pulling a sled through the snow.
That was my thing. Okay, so those are books and movies. Out of all the movies I remember was Terminator 2.
Perfect film.
Yeah.
I will fight you if you say otherwise. It's a perfect movie.
I love. It's funny for me. I never. The first movie I saw was Terminator 2, and then I saw Terminator 1, the first one, and I was like, Terminator 1 sucks. Like I did not like it at all. I mean, obviously it has a value of like the whole thing, whatever. But because you've seen this like much
That's
better,
it. You're comparing it to
exactly.
another thing. The thing is, they're different films, right? Like
Yeah.
The first one is a survival horror.
Yeah.
Right. It's a sci-fi survival horror.
Yeah.
Like it's one woman and her helper from the future trying to protect her from this evil killing thing. Right.
Yeah.
The second one's an action movie. So they're not really in the same genre, right? It's the difference between like Alien and Aliens. Like the first one's survival horror. It's one woman on a ship trying to escape this alien. She doesn't know where it is. The second one's an action movie, right? You get the colonial marines, all of that. It's a bigger thing. So yeah, it's kind of a different genre. So comparing them is not fair, really.
And I think Terminator 2 is so much about comedy as well.
Yeah.
There's so many funny bits, like that interaction with this child and this killing machine, and like, I'll be back, all this, like, it's like, it feels, the first one didn't make, it felt like totally different movie, as you say. And second one was I love to watch. Did you see on Netflix they had the like these documentary called "The Movies That Made Us"?
Yeah.
Oh my
Love
god,
that.
so good. Yeah, and they were talking about Terminator and talking about how Terminator 2, like creating all these special effects. Up to date, they still some of them are like super high level.
Do you know my favorite shot in Terminator 2 is it's only in the like extended cut, but it's the one where they're resetting his chip. So they're in the garage, they take the chip out of the back of his head and they put it back into learner mode because when they're sent out, they're sent like, no, it's read only. You can't learn new stuff. And the whole idea is that they don't go rogue.
Yeah.
But they want to reset it so that he can learn, he can adapt, all the rest of it.
I don't think I've seen that extended version.
Okay, so in this shot, they take out his CPU and it's like one little switch. They switch it into like write mode as well so he can learn and adapt. And Sarah Connor is like, nah, fuck this guy. And she goes to smash his chip. And it's like, and John Connor has to be like, no, we need him. We need to, and she's like, you don't know what these guys can do. I've fought them before. And he's like, oh yeah? Well, if you don't trust me, what good are we? And then takes his hands away. And she dents the table rather than smash the chip. And you're like, oh, that's so cool. But
Sarah Connor.
Right. But the cool thing about that shot is because they're facing a mirror, you can't shoot it, right? Because then you'll see the camera in the reflection. So how do you think they did it? They had an animatronic Arnold Schwarzenegger in the foreground, right? So you're seeing the back of an animatronic Arnold Schwarzenegger. You're looking through the mirror because it's not a mirror, it's just an empty frame to the real one. In the foreground is Linda Hamilton's twin sister, dressed exactly the same, and then through the mirror is actual Linda Hamilton. Right? And they rehearsed it so much that they matched up every tiny micro movement until they got it perfect. And that's how they did that shot.
You were so good with wow moments. I don't think I had any podcast where I had so many wow moments.
The thing is, I love that film. I love it. Like the fact that they perfectly married up practical effects with digital effects. The pacing is phenomenally good. The problem I have with a lot of cinema at the moment is either they're super slow or it's like a kid with ADHD has edited them because I can't keep track because it's constant cuts. And you're like, here's a new thing, here's a new thing, here's a new thing. Don't care about that. There's a new thing. Terminator 2 is perfectly paced. You get comedy, you get tragedy, you get action. It's amazing. Yeah. Like the fact that, and it's philosophical, man. Like you've got this killer robot who is examining the human condition from an outside perspective, and you're doing that, and then he blows up a load of cars with a minigun, right? Yeah. And it's like, it's perfect. I bawled my eyes out the first time I saw that film. The bit with the like, mate, I cried my head off.
Same thing.
My parents had to show me other films with Arnold Schwarzenegger in it to be like, it's just alive. A movie. It's fine, I think I was like 8 when I first saw that film.
And then it was like, it's not a tumor.
Oh God, I hated that film.
You didn't like it?
I didn't like Kindergarten Cop.
I rewatched it. Like I didn't like it. I think as a kid when I watched it, I really didn't like the protagonist. Is it protagonist the bad guy?
No, antagonist.
Antagonist. Yeah, antagonist was just such a weird looking dude. Ugh.
Yeah.
But again, rewatching it, I so loved that interaction. Arnie with the kids, and you just see this big powerful muscle man is helpless because just what do you do now?
Yeah.
I really like that concept.
Another Schwarzenegger film that I love was Last Action Hero. Do you know that one?
I heard of it.
It's a kid has a magic movie ticket and he goes into the world where Arnold Schwarzenegger's character is there.
I did see some of it, yeah, but I haven't seen it that many times.
So good. Charles Dance is the main villain in it, and he's fantastic. Fantastic. That was the first. There's one bit where he's just like, "Hello, I've just shot someone. Is anyone going to do anything about it? No." And it's the whole thing of in the movies, it's you shoot someone, suddenly the police are there 20 seconds later, and it's oh, there's some big car chase. Whereas in reality, it's no, you shoot someone, it's
nice. Cops
might turn up.
Reality versus no, what was the other one? Expectation versus reality.
Yeah. That's it.
Sick.
What were the other films I said?
I'm not sure. Need to look it up.
Oh man.
How do
That's
you
a shame.
remember? There was, I think one of them I kind of saw, and the other one I was totally like, I'd never seen this before.
Oh, Leon was one of them.
Yeah, Leon. Oh, Leon,
Oh
I
my
love
God,
Leon.
Leon's great.
Leon is classic.
It's so good. Yeah.
Natalie Portman.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's like, what, like 13 years old there?
I think maybe younger, but
Even younger than that?
I see my feelings on this film now are a bit they're a bit muddied because I've seen interviews with Natalie Portman and it's like that film basically scarred her a bit. Like,
Yeah, what was that about?
well, it was like, so the whole thing is about her as like a young girl falling in love with an older man, right? And it's like, she is quite sexualized in the film. I mean, not overtly, but there's a huge subtext there.
Yeah.
And it like as a person, it messed her up going into the future, where she was like, no, I have to be super conservative because otherwise people will think I'm that sort of person. And it really like affected it. So although it's a wonderful film and I really love it and I quote it all the time, yeah, it's a shame that now I know that there was a human cost in making it. You
But
know?
how was it sexualized? So when I saw it, obviously I was too young to understand those things. Well, I probably need to rewatch it to notice it. Where was it shown that?
There's in all the scenes of her and Jean Reno. There's a load of scenes of like, I think I'm in love with you, Leon. I feel it down below and all that sort. And you're like,
Is that what she was saying?
yeah. And there's
Fuck.
like a bit where she's like rubbing her stomach on the bed and stuff, and you're like,
Oh,
yeah. And it's like I say, as much as a great movie it is, it's a real shame to now know that there was a human cost.
That's
in it
the
to
thing.
make.
Like, yeah, I mean, like that is unfortunate that she would not feel comfortable with that, or at the time she was like, okay, that's what I need to do, whatever. So
Well, and also like as a child in that
use
sort of
your
industry,
innocence.
it's a real shame, but it is a fantastic movie.
Yeah.
And there's some great performances in it. Like Gary Oldman's amazing.
Gary Oldman, yeah.
I mean, that guy's just an amazing actor in general, but in that
Just
film,
anything.
it's fantastic.
And the funniest thing with the biggest thing I always remember about Gary Oldman, and it's probably just says like I've been watching too much Friends, the TV series where he had a guest appearance. Do you remember that?
Oh yeah. There were
with-
several tins of tuna. That one. Yeah.
You need to enunciate.
Oh, that was a great take. Oh, I'm absolutely drenched.
Both
yeah.
of them like, was like, are you drunk? No, I'm not drunk at all. That was great. And the third movie was the Amazing Mr. Blunden.
Oh man, yeah. This is one of those where I can fully admit that it's maybe not the best movie ever.
Yeah, I haven't
But
seen it. I need to check it out.
Few people have, man. Like it was a film made in oh god, when was it even made? It was like, I think it was like 73 or something. The whole thing is about this small family, recently widowed, like the dad's died, and this mysterious lawyer turns up and offers the mother a job as a caretaker in some old country home, right? And the kids go there and they find out it's haunted by the kids of these who used to live there, and they have to travel into the past to right the wrongs and all the rest of it. But it's one of those films where like my mum showed it to me when I was a little kid, and we, like me and my brother and sister and my mum, we rewatch it every Christmas. We absolutely love it. Who is it? I think Diana Dawes. She plays like this old ginny landlady, right? And she was known as being the British Marilyn Monroe. I don't know why I said that really weird. Marilyn Monroe. Sorry. And she was so glamorous and stuff. And then you see her in this film and she's got like warts and thread-veined face, and she's always pulling her face like this, and she's like, oh, them kids, oh. And she plays like this kind of comic book villain almost thing. And she's got a husband who's like an ex-prize fighter, so he's punch drunk. And, there's a bit where someone sort of like taps on the side of their glass and he thinks it's the bell. So he's like, and it's just,
I don't even need to watch a movie.
Dude,
I can just look at you.
there are so many layers to this film, right? And they remade it for Sky, right? So they did like one of those Christmas special films for Sky. And by comparison, it was so just one-dimensional, right? Like, so they took out the fact that that Diana Dawes' character was like a landlady. Her husband was just a bit stupid. He wasn't like an old fighter. And her daughter, who basically marries into this like noble family. In the original, she's basically not a call girl. She's like a chorus girl. Sorry. So she's like, one of the songs she sings is like, oh, you're a naughty boy and I'm a naughty girl. It's that whole sort of like music hall, old Cockney tradition thing. And she's like doing the can-can and stuff, but she's not very good, right? And there's a bit of a joke that the uncle's always like, oh, I moved to London and married a ballerina. And it's like, okay. So there are all these like little innuendo-y sort of jokes and like adults watching it would be like, oh, I know exactly what that is. But the kids would be none the wiser sort of thing.
This is one of the things what I now just discovering about the British sense of humor. I mean, back in the days, that sense of humor was crazy.
Yeah.
So it's like, I love Blackadder, you know? It's like
Blackadder's brilliant.
there's such a good, sophisticated sense of humor. And now my neighbor who I hang out, and as I told you, like, you know, we hang out sometimes, and we watch, oh my God, The League of Gentlemen. That is like that. Oh, it's a local shop only for local people. I was like, the first time I saw it, like, what the fuck is that? And then the supposedly the woman, the lady, she always like does these sexual things about like, you were looking at my tits, and they're like, yeah, you want to see some more? And then the husband comes like, oh, what is going on here? What is this trouble? We don't want any trouble. Like,
do you know, the thing is, like, that must be really weird because from a British perspective, I can look at that and be like, I get where that comes from, like, and it's the whole like moving to a small town and they've all got their sort of like quaint little traditions. And
I get those things, but then also like my neighbor was explaining that most of those characters are based on actual people, but people who've been met through like whatever, and then you kind of realize there was this nasty lady who helps people, the job seekers. Oh, job seekers!
Oh yeah.
Like this horrible, and it's very similar to like how Little Britain created the fatties, all the fatty fighters. The fat fighters.
Yeah, it's a similar sort of concept,
And this League of Gentlemen, it's like on steroids. The Little Britain on steroids. Like
there are some problematic characters in there as well. Like there's a taxi driver who's transitioned and
hey, where you want me to take you? And it always shows. I love it how they don't show the face, but just the hairy knuckles and
So yeah, some bits are problematic. It's like you could get away with it in the early 2000s, but now it's just.
But I think people just gonna get to the point, you know, like fuck this new comedy, which is all vogue and it's all filtered. There's nothing
For
really.
Sure. Yeah,
I think they're just gonna go back to the old and just rewatch the old ones as much as they can.
I think the thing about comedy, and I mean especially with. Oh, sorry, you're gonna sneeze.
I thought he was going to fart.
Pardon me?
Oops, sorry.
No, okay. I think the problem is, right, like, especially with the transition and stuff, it's like everyone's very much afraid to make jokes about it, right?
Yeah.
Now, I think, personally, I'm of the opinion that you should joke about everything.
Yeah,
right
100%.
now, but don't punch down, right? Like laugh about the situation, not about the person, right? Because that's a very different thing. Like you should never be mean.
Yeah.
But like play on words is fun, and you can do that with certain things. So I think never treading on the issue is also unfair. I mean, like there are funny situations that arise, But that said, like I say, you should never be taking the piss out of someone because that's unkind, right? Like if you can be funny and be kind, great. Do it.
But that's the thing. Who decides? Who makes that decision?
Comedy's subjective, isn't it?
Exactly. So I've been doing stand-up now for like almost 3 years. And it was so crazy. In Bali, like the certain jokes where I go, because we had such a multinational audience. So we had Aussies, we have, Americans, Canadians, but also we have those people who travel, who explore, who have a little bit more open-minded and stuff. But then I did stand up in London. Oh my God, dude. I had this like whole thing about like these gay jokes and not like even like punching down and punching out anything about, gay is bad. But it was more like I worked in the gay club as, I was the struggling, immigrant, blah, blah, blah. And I had the whole audience just dead silence. And it was full with very Christian, very kind of.
Okay, they weren't laughing from that perspective.
Yeah, they were like.
Oh, they're like, this is nothing to be laughed about. Not, are you taking the piss out of us?
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
Oh,
exactly.
wow, okay, that's
exactly.
interesting.
And then in Bali, I had the same set, and I was on New Year's, and it's funny. I should not be doing a comedy. I was emceeing the event. It was a New Year's, and I was realized there's like 10 minutes, nothing's going on. We have nothing, and I need to fill up the time, and I start doing my stand up, and I got from the side, I couldn't even see. This lady came up and grabbed the mic on my hand, and they said, "How dare you to do any jokes about gay people and all that?" Which was again not punching down anything. I was just literally she heard the word gay, and then she straight away like lost her shit, and I was like, "Wow."
Well, I think that. Or how much do I say before I get cancelled?
I don't know.
No, it's. I think the problem is sometimes the most vocal people are not always the most informed, right? So like if you can deconstruct a joke and you be like, oh, okay, that joke was actually about the play on words between these two things. It's got nothing to do with that particular issue that was the framework for the joke.
Right.
That's a very different thing to being like you say, punching down and being like, oh, they're all funny, aren't they? Do you know what I mean? Like there's a different way to do jokes. Like you can do non-homophobic gay jokes. Like that's possible. Like just because gay people are the subject of your joke does not mean they're the punchline to your joke.
But it's the main problem is like people are so closed-minded and so like they hide under the sensitivity umbrella that like anything can trigger. Well, that triggered me, and there's like, well, please explain me why. I don't need to explain. I don't need to explain myself. You know, and that is where you can't have constructive conversation with someone when they don't even think about getting into those other shoes or look at things from different perspective.
Yep.
So it's just like what are we having? It's, you know, now we're opening totally crazy can of worms. Is like when we have all these Vogue activists and trans activists, when they, instead of having conversation, they just scream.
I think
like when you see that is just like this, I don't know.
I think on both sides of the debate, the one thing that's been lost is nuance. So you used to be able to go, well, you know, this is how it is. And someone would go, well, what about this sort of way of thinking? Like, oh, okay, yeah, I suppose that is an issue. Because like most things in life, nothing's black and white. Like everything's a shade of grey. So being able to meet, not necessarily in the middle, but to meet in general and be like, okay, I take on board your point, you know, but if you're just like, this is how it is.
And that's it.
Then you're like, okay, well, then you are closed-minded. Now, don't get me wrong. I can understand it, especially from the perspective of people that have been downtrodden, that you take, because this is your experience, you're like, they're questioning me, they're attacking me, right? And that can be a defense mechanism, and I fully understand that because, you know, if in your experience, most of the time people are, then you're going to assume that they are. I think, as with anything, you know, we should all discuss everything, but in a kind, considerate, nuanced fashion, right?
Exactly. That's why debate clubs are so important.
Yeah.
Like kids should be debating since they're you know, from a very young age.
But also, people shouldn't be trying to win conversation.
Yeah.
You know, it's almost like sometimes you have people like constantly trying to have these like I gotcha moments.
Yeah.
It's like, no, you should be like, do you see what I mean? And they're like, yeah. It's like, cool. I'm glad that you could see things from my perspective.
Exactly.
You know, so yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. If people are saying genuinely hateful stuff, don't listen to them. It's hateful. Like, there's no need. If they are coming from it with a nuanced perspective, try and understand. If they're wrong, or you perceive that they're wrong, try and explain to them why. You know, like have that conversation. I mean, look, I'm not an underrepresented person in any regard, but that's one thing that I personally like to do is listen to every perspective and then throw out the things I don't agree with, and maybe, you know, I'm always open to having my mind changed about stuff.
Yeah, and I love when people can easily, with the ease say, let's agree to disagree.
Yeah, for sure.
That's it. You know, that's your opinion and my opinion, but just because we have a different opinion about certain things, it doesn't mean that we cannot live in a peaceful manner.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, I think I get known as being a bit of a professional fence sitter because a lot of the time people will be like, oh, it's like this. And it'll be like, well, not always. I mean, what about this situation? They'll be like, oh, don't muddy the water. And I'm like, but, you know.
Yeah, and it can't be all clear. Like, as I said, that don't muddy the water. Like, it's not going to be 100% this or 100% that. It has to be, it can be the gray area. It can be all these different things. And you're fencing not in just in this, the real.
Yeah, I'm actually sitting on fences as well.
Yeah, look at you. Okay, 3 people.
Yes.
It was your mom, your nana, and there was
Terry Pratchett.
Yeah, Terry Pratchett. I looked him up very briefly. Writer, author, and like comedy stuff. So he's
So
satire.
I mean, a lot of the stuff he wrote was like the Discworld novels, and I mean, just by reading those, like the guy had such a wit, and also a real sense of social conscious. Right? There's is it the Vimes boot scenario? I can't remember the exact term that's used for it, but it's the idea that it's based around the head of the police force or the Night's Watch, right? I think this is in Guards. I think that's the book it's from. But it's the idea that like if you buy shoes that cost $3, right, they'll last you 6 months, and you'll have to put cardboard in the bottom of them, and you'll be walking around with soggy feet the entire time, and they'll last you 6 months. And then you got to buy a new pair, right? But if you've got $10, you can buy nice boots that last you 2 years, and you haven't got to keep buying them, and your feet are comfortable the entire time. But if you don't have $10, you have to go with the rubbish ones, which end up costing you more. So it's the idea of like being poor is expensive.
Yeah.
It's like if you're living paycheck to paycheck, you can't buy things that last because you don't have the money.
Yeah.
So you have to buy the thing that breaks. But then you have to buy it 2 or 3 times. So you end up actually spending more than if you'd bought the nice thing. But if you need boots, you can't.
But how many rich people out there who actually buy cheap stuff all the time? And then, they still, I guess, spend more? Not sure. Because, like, rich is rich because they know what they do with their money and they're smart with investing their money.
Yeah, for sure.
So they're somehow probably going to get it for free.
Well, that's it. What they actually do is they walk into the business and go, oh, I've got an advertising firm. Perhaps you're interested. Oh, free boots, you say. Yeah.
There you go. And then, so what is his favorite, most famous, most well-known work?
The Discworld novels. So there's loads of them, man.
Right.
Like it's gotten to the point where now there are like graphs online of what order to read them in, and which ones match up, and you've got several different arcs because he'll follow different characters. The first one I read was The Colour of Magic, which follows Rincewind, who's kind of like a bit of a failed wizard, and this guy Two-Flower, who's a tourist in that area. And then you've got the Weird Sisters one, which is all about a group of witches. And then you've got Guards, which is all about the Night Watch. And there are several of lots of different ones.
What is the main difference between a novel and just a book? What is the difference? Like,
I think a novel is just like it's a work of fiction, isn't it?
I don't even know.
I think it's like a work of fiction over a certain size, because obviously you can have novellas which are like short stories, but then I think a fiction is just a book which is a work of fiction. I believe. I'm not a literary genius.
Yeah. Because what's his name? Quentin Tarantino. He wrote novels, and then he would base his movies on novels.
Gotcha.
I think so.
Right.
Maybe I'm wrong. But I think that's how it starts with, he writes a novel first and then,
I mean, that makes sense. I mean, if you're flushing out an entire story, it's better to not write it as a screenplay, I guess, because otherwise, like, that's a very disjointed way to write something.
Yeah. It is hard to write it as well. Yeah. Isn't it?
Like, it's easier to write a story and then be like, okay, and now I'll break it into a screenplay.
Yeah.
I suppose. I've never written anything.
Yeah, because like, as a good example is like when we read books and then someone has made a film, then we're like, oh my God, so this is not there, this is not here. So you have to pick and choose what would be actually taking and bringing out the essence of the story and all that kind of stuff.
He was also, sorry, just bringing it back to Terry Pratchett, he was also just such a weird guy in some of the best ways. Like he got knighted. Right? He became a Knight of the Realm. Sir Terry Pratchett. Yeah. And for his what do you call it when you become a knight? Your
knightlyhood?
I can't remember the term now.
Knighthood.
Sorry. We've been talking a long time. He actually had his own sword made from meteorite steel.
No.
So his whole thing was that he wanted to hand the Queen his own sword to be knighted with that was made from old bits of meteorite.
Wow.
And then in the end, they were like, "You can't bring your own sword." So it was like, oh. But that's just such
God damn it.
It's like, I think in this country, we've got a real history of like eccentric people, just like weirdos,
Yeah.
but like in the loveliest way.
You have to stand somehow out, I guess.
Yeah, for sure.
You know?
And I think he was one of those. And he, later in his life, very sadly, he got Alzheimer's, and he became an advocate for euthanasia. So like being able to choose when you end your own life. Just like I say, just really funny, really witty, really eccentric, and really conscientious. Just really great person.
Conscientious, love that word.
Yeah.
It's so sexy. Talking about euthanizing, is it only one country in the world where you can actually, it's legal? Was it Belgium? I think it was one of the Nordic countries.
Europe. Yeah, I don't know. I know that in Japan they made a euthanasia bot. So they made a robot that would end your life for you.
Oh, beautiful.
And they tested it, and it gave someone just awful injuries that they had to live with for the rest of their life, which seems cruel. Yeah, right.
Okay, do we? Who else wants to be a test subject? Damn it!
They gave it like the face of a teddy bear as well,
Oh
so
my God,
that just
that's
seems nightmare
that's a creep
fuel,
movie. Ugh.
isn't it?
Okay, and then you have two other favorite people.
Yes.
It's your nan and your mom.
My mum and my nan.
Yeah.
Yeah. My mum raised me. My parents split when I was like 3.
Okay.
And yeah, she just, like, it wasn't always the childhood I wanted, but looking back on it, it taught me a lot, and I'm very proud to have had that upbringing.
That's very interesting, like the childhood I wanted.
Yeah.
The childhood I wanted then, or the childhood you want now?
Oh, then, absolutely
Yeah.
then. As in, like, you know, it was always that thing of like, oh, why can't I do this thing? You know,
Yeah,
everyone wants what they don't have, right? But
Yeah.
it's an upbringing that I really appreciate now, especially. I mean, like I was talking earlier, I do a lot of my own bike mechanic stuff. I've retiled my own bathroom. I do a lot of stuff by myself. And part of that is because I grew up in a situation where my mother was on income support basically until I was like 12. So we had no money. So you had to learn to do things yourself because you couldn't pay someone else to do it.
Yeah.
And that sort of self-reliance and that practicality is something that I'm very proud of as a part of myself. You know, if you're sort of looking at yourself through an outside lens, those are things where if it was in someone else, I would be like, that's very cool that they're like that. And that's something I very much appreciate about myself.
That's cool.
Is my practicality and my self-reliance. And yeah, my mum gave me that. She also instilled in me a real love of cinema, which is probably why I ended up being an actor and stuntman. And she let me make mistakes. You know, I mean, she shouted at me afterwards quite a lot, but she let me make mistakes, and that's the best way to learn, right?
Yeah, and it's crazy, like, you know, the whole idea, the childhood that I didn't want it, you know, because like I grew up in a household where you had to do our chores all the time. Then my dad was an alcoholic, so when he wasn't working, like he wouldn't get the job done. So I would need to get done. I would need to step in. I was like 9, 10 years old, shovel the shit out of the barn and everything, and I hated it. I thought that's the worst thing ever. But then obviously later down the line, I realized, oh my God, it taught me how to be independent. It taught me all these amazing things, and I'm so grateful for it now.
Yeah, right.
It's
that thing of like every trial is a lesson learned. You know, it's like, yeah, I had to struggle then, but now I know that I can deal with it.
Yeah.
You know, like people that have never had struggles in their life, they don't know how they'll react when that struggle arrives. Right?
Yeah.
Whereas we do, because we've lived it.
Yeah.
And I think that's a great thing to have. But also, like, my mum is a very empathetic person. And it's something, I think, like, everyone growing up, they sort of practice being mean, right? It's like, it's a weird thing where you sort of, you flex your social muscles and you're like, okay, am I this kind of, but no, okay, cool. That's the sort of, and I remember a couple of times I would sort of do that around her, and I'd say something like potentially mean about someone, and she would be like, what did you just say? How dare you? Do you know what they go through?
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh, yeah, I'd never like examined someone else's internal life and realized that man, living like that must suck. It must suck doubly when you've got little shits like him taking the piss out of you for it.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, it sort of, she very much kept me on that sort of moral track. And I mean, it's something everyone struggles with, right? It's like being a moral and good person. But I feel like, her and in different ways, my dad really sort of kept me on that track. My dad, I remember, he said to me when I was a kid, he was like, do you want to grow up to be an arsehole? Right? And it sounds mean, doesn't it? Right? To say that to your kid. But what he meant was, you know what it means to be an arsehole, right? Because you can see other people doing it. So you can see what it means to be an arsehole. So if you're doing something, right, if someone else was doing that, would you think they're an arsehole? Yes. Then why are you doing it? Because by your own definition, you're being an arsehole.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, don't do it. And it's something I try and examine, possibly too much. But, you know, I'm like, is what I'm doing the right thing to do? And I think that level of self-examination is something that everyone should be doing.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And I think also when you see a great example, then you like, oh, fuck, how come I didn't thought about being this nice? And how come I not... Even things like simple things like, Mike Snow, Smo, Australian stunt guy. Shout out to him. He was an amazing dude. He was like, we were just walking down the street and he would see a rubbish somewhere and he would pick it up, find the bin and just throw it away. And I was like, first reaction was like, what did you just do? Because I was raised in a country where, like, obviously later down the line it changed. But when I was a young teenager, whatever, it was a normal thing when people just throw shit on the floor.
That's mad.
Yeah, that was normal. People would drive in a car, they throw shit outside the window. Not just, cigarette butts, but like proper rubbish, all that kind of thing. And then somewhere when I was like 18, 19, I remember I saw someone saying, like, telling someone off, like, why would you throw this out? This is, then I was like, okay, so this is not, that's not good or whatever. But, and then I wouldn't do that. But then you see someone who picks up someone else's shit. Yeah. And you're like, what is that now? What's going on here? And you're like, oh yeah. And then when I would see a rubbish now, I would pick it up and put it away. Even though in that moment I just think, oh, I'm just pathetic. Like I'm picking up someone else's rubbish. But as soon as that rubbish leaves my hand in that bin, I just feel nice. I just did something nice.
Well, it was, and Smo comes from sort of like the parkour community as well.
Yeah.
And it was something quite early on when I was doing that there was this philosophy of like always leave a space better than you found it. And
that's beautiful.
You should, yeah. Like, I mean, I pick up a lot of litter because my neighbours seem to just chuck their fucking rubbish out their window. But yeah, it's everyone. If everyone did that, everything would be better, right? It's not your responsibility, but if you do it, things are better. So,
but how would you find the source of that? By example. But then they look at you, but most of them are just like, oh, it's just a loser picking up my crap.
To a certain extent, there are certain people that you will never convince, right?
Yeah.
So, fuck them.
Fuck them. Fuck them. Okay, on that note, let's talk about your nana.
My nan, yeah. Brenda Chester. Wonderful person. She was one of those people, like, I actually gave a eulogy for her recently because she sadly passed away in the spring.
Oh, sorry to hear that.
Thank you. But in the eulogy, I sort of said, I've never had like deep, meaningful conversations with my nan. You know, I don't know what her aspirations were when she was like a young woman and all of this, but I never, ever felt unloved. You know, she was one of those people that was like kind of quiet, but like you always knew they were there for you, like always. So when I used to live in Scotland, and when I was 17, I was like, I don't want to live here anymore. I don't want to live with my parents.
Show me your Scottish accent.
I'm not doing a Scottish accent. So I was like, right, I need to move out. But I'm 17. I can't get a place by myself. What am I going to do? And my dad asked my nan if I could go and live with my nan and granddad in Chelmsford. And they were like, yeah. And they just, you know, anytime I was ever in need, they were there for me, you know. And very sadly, toward the end, Nan needed to be in hospital a lot. She had a knee replacement surgery because she couldn't get about very well. And as is sadly the case, the surgery affected her quite badly. And she ended up passing away less than a year later.
Wow.
But Yeah, she was just that quiet, loving confidence, you know, and it's that thing that I would love to be that for someone else, right? For someone else to be like going through some awful shit and then they just look at me and they know that I'm there for them, you know, and that gives them the strength and ability to get on with whatever they're doing. Like, to be that for someone else, I think is like one of the nicest things you can do for someone. And she was great. Absolutely great. Shout out to Brenda Chester.
Well, shout out up there.
Yeah.
Nice one, dude. Listen, we smashed it. Thank you so much for
mate,
coming over.
Absolute pleasure, thanks.
Blowing up my mind just like you blow the other
Bees
thing
dicks,
for the
yep.
bees dicks. Yeah. It was incredible. I'm so happy that I finally got you in and all that.
Yeah, we touched on some very varied subjects, didn't we?
Very, very varied subjects. And now it's time for a little dance. Are you ready for a dance? And drop it. It's going to go drop it. So you're going to get a drop it. Oh! That's what's up.
Blah, blah, blah.
Renars Podcast.